Oh yeah, that music gets you. I'm embarrassed at a mistake I've made. I've done all these list videos and guides for this and that. Great videos for people who already like this game, but they mean nothing to people who don't know this game. If you've never played EverQuest, you don't care what the best classes are or the best way to play them. You don't care about that intro song. As well, the gameplay is not that great. Gameplay is not what made the fan base fall in love with EverQuest. Emphasizing that was wrong on my part. There's decades of games that do the gameplay better, but there is one huge thing newer games don't do better. It is what I have failed to show in my videos. It is the most important feature of the MMO genre. A feature that has been kicked to the corner, never to be seen again. And this is why people still play this outdated game made 20 plus years ago over newer, fancier titles. EverQuest forces you to work with others. It emphasizes player interaction above all else. It is not a solo-first game like every newer MMO, for good and for bad.
Alright, I'm clicking off the video. You can't solo, that sucks.
Wrong. What really sucks is what you've been missing out on. In all my years of playing video games, there is nothing that comes close to how much fun I've had playing EverQuest because of forced interaction. Now, of course, when you team up with bad players or can't even find people to play with, this game is horrible, one of the worst, no contest. But when you join that good group or you start making friends, there is nothing like it. And also, on that same tangent, it's one thing when the game gives you a reward for doing some arbitrary quest. We've all done that hundreds of times in MMOs. It's boring. It's played out. But when other people reward you with compliments for playing your class good, it means you have no life. It strokes your ego in a way that's addicting like none else. Like getting the best kill-death ratio in a first-person shooter. Something everyone sees, or getting a compliment from your boss at work. And if you play certain classes in EverQuest well, you could be the only reason that group even works. Everyone will appreciate you. EverQuest is special to me because it's made me feel valuable unlike in any other game I've played. You're not random player 3082 who's savior of the endless quest givers. No. You're savior for those 5 other people in your group that count on you to keep them alive. How you play actually matters to real people. In this next chapter of my channel, I will play on Project 1999 Green and the Ayonic servers. I will be focusing on the stories I make with others. Stories you won't be able to make in other newer MMOs. And why am I doing this? I feel that EverQuest is criminally underappreciated in the MMO genre. When you watch Joss Strife Hayes or Asmongold, they treat it like it's a cliff note in the genre's history, barely a mention. It is not given the respect it deserves at all. All the praise goes to World of Warcraft, but people forget. WoW's developers played EverQuest and used it as the example. They took the best parts of EverQuest and dropped the worst parts to make the most popular MMO that ever existed. World of Warcraft would not exist without EverQuest. But this game doesn't get that appreciation. And I want to show why it should. How are you going to show that? Well, you'll see a little of this game's magic soon, where I almost get eaten by Shrek. But before I go too far, once I get level 6, if I die, there will be consequences. My girlfriend will pie me in the face or something. We're working on it. Keep watching if you want to see me suffer. So you mentioned Project 1999 and Ayonic. What are you talking about? EverQuest is such an old game that the community is split into 3 different versions. Version 1, current expansion servers that are called Live. EverQuest has 28 expansions as of this video, and there's still new stuff coming out. Option 2, people who start out at the beginning and unlock those 28 expansions over time, called time-locked progression servers, or TLPs. This is one of my favorite ways to play, and this is what the Ayonic server is. And option 3, the last offering, is Project 1999 or P99. It is an attempt to emulate what EverQuest used to be like in its very early days, before all the conveniences were patched in. It's a very hard game. No conveniences, no hand-holding, you will pay for mistakes. And paradoxically, P99 is also the most social. I was shocked by how much player interaction I had in just 2 hours of starting here. Do nice people still exist on the internet? I don't know, you'll see soon. So this is Project 1999 Green Server. Let's talk about the second biggest reason I play EverQuest, the Bard class. So you have the classic trinity, tanks, healers, and damage dealers, DPS. See my why you should play EverQuest in 2022 for more. Okay, so what does Bard do? Does it heal? No. Does it tank? No. Does it damage? No. Then what the heck does Bard do then? It seems like the norm for MMOs now is to pull masses of mobs and beat them down all at the same time, AoEing them. That is the exception in EverQuest, not the rule. Mobs in EverQuest are so much more difficult to defeat. Anyone can handle one at a time, but pull 2 to 3? Hell no, you're gonna die. Because mobs are so difficult to defeat, there are different roles that are just as important, if not more, than tank, healer, and damage dealer. What are they? Puller, crowd control, and support. Bard is unique because it can do all three, but with a twist. Why do you need a puller? Most mobs are social and clustered in packs. If you hit one, the whole pack will come at you and you'll get overrun. Some classes have tools to help them split apart packs. Why do you need a crowd controller? Pulls will go wrong, and 4 mobs are coming. A crowd controller can temporarily take 3 of them out of the fight, so you only have to deal with 1 at a time. Why do you need support? Healers and casters need mana to do their jobs. Damage dealers need buffs to kill quicker. Mobs need to be weakened so that tanks and healers can even handle it. Bards help everyone. But what is the twist about playing Bard? They're a jack of all trades. They can do many things, but not for long. You can only keep up 4 effects at a time. Bard arguably has one of the highest skill curves to any class in EverQuest because Bards have so many abilities, but they're limited to 4. A pro player knows what to use and when. Priorities. A well-played Bard makes all classes about 25% better. This single class can decide whether groups live or die. And what I love most about Bard is there's nothing like getting a compliment for playing it well. There's no way to ignore a well-played Bard. So you create a character, what do? There's no guide or exclamation points for quests. You go out and you farm mobs. Back with that inconvenience theme of Project 1999, what race and deity you pick matter. You'll soon see a guy who regretted picking Dark Elf. Some races have night blindness. Barbarians, humans, erudites can't see squat at night in Project 1999. I actually prefer to play human bard, but the night blindness is so bad that I have to roll half elf for their ability called infravision that helps you see it all at night, basically. It's not as good as what dark elves get though. They get ultravision, which is the best, but infravision is good enough. Deity and race also matter. There's good cities, there's evil cities, and Ixar, hated by everyone. Go into the wrong place and you will be killed on sight. Have the wrong deity in the wrong area, also kill on sight. First things first, gotta fix the UI. Set the sense heading button to A on the keyboard. Every time I turn left, it'll press sense heading, so it'll skill up. There are no maps in this game, so you gotta click this button to figure out where you're going. And my goal here is to kill all the decaying skeletons I can, because they drop weapons and armor that I need for cash. They also drop bone chips I can trade. Money is very tight, and I need all the platinum I can get. I get a bunch of rusty weapons, and that I can work with. EverQuest doesn't hand you gear just for existing. You gotta earn it. One of my strategies is I'm buying sharpening stones to level up my blacksmithing skill. Now, trade skilling in EverQuest is rather rudimentary, but still useful here and there. With around 100 skill in blacksmithing, I can make a basic set of chain armor, so I'm not as squishy. And gear is hard to come by. It doesn't fall into your lap. I remember it was common to have gear with no stat boost at all at max level in the early game. So I leveled up blacksmithing by taking rusty weapons and using a sharpening stone to turn them into tarnished weapons. And I was able to replace my starter sword with a tarnished short sword. It did the same amount of damage, but it had a shorter delay, which is how quick you swing. How do you know what weapon is better? You do a quick calculation, you divide the damage by the delay, and whatever's higher, that's the weapon you pick. Now, let's get into an argument with people. One of my tricks for the early levels is to intentionally die. It takes longer to refill health and mana by sitting than to die. Well, how long does it take? From empty to full mana, maybe 10 to 15 minutes in this version of EverQuest. You have to be efficient with what you got. So before level 6, there's no consequence for dying, so I'm intentionally going to guards to get one-shotted when I'm low on health. And I actually got some flack for doing it. Like, wow, what an idiot. And I tried to explain why, and it turned into a mini argument. You know, you're not supposed to die. That's the point of the game. It's playing like a hardcore scum, basically. But, you know, to each their own, we all play the game different. I favor efficiency in a game that excels at wasting your time. Now, one of the first things I'm trying to buy are large bags. A lot of people prefer backpacks over large bags. Now, backpacks have 8 slots, and large bags have 6 slots. Why would you want to go for 2 less spots? Weight. Your coin, your gear, your inventory all weigh you down. Now, if you have too much weight, you won't be able to move. You'll also take more damage because your ability to dodge stuff decreases.
Man, this game sounds hard.
If you think this is hard, the worst is yet to come. So backpacks weigh 2 more pounds than bags, and sometimes you can't afford that weight, especially when your gear is heavy as a bard. Bards wear plate armor. And large bags are also cheaper. But now, let's break the game. At level 2, a broken mechanic opens up. A new song called Chords of Dissonance. This leads to one of the most overpowered techniques that the Bard class can do. So overpowered that it was nerfed to oblivion on live servers. You can only do this on Project 1999. Chords of Dissonance is a mass damage over time effect, or dot, that will hit everything in range, in short called AoE dots. When you add this with a quirk of EverQuest design, Bards were able to destroy whole entire zones, and it looked like they're running in circles doing it. So the quirk? In EverQuest design, if you run in a straight line, it's generally slow enough for most mobs to catch you and kill you. But if you start strafe running, it's actually slightly faster than what mobs can do. So what bards will do is they'll pull everything they want in a zone and start strafing to build distance. And then they'll close distance by turning to be just in range to land those AoE dots, but just far enough not to get hit. So it looks like you're making circles. It's a very high-risk balancing act. You can kill loads of mobs in one foul swoop for the fastest experience you'll ever get. But if you get hit once, bye-bye, you're dead. But in early EverQuest, you lose a lot of experience when you die. You can lose levels, in fact. So Chords of Dissonance is especially risky because you have to get much closer than the later AoE dot songs that are more forgiving. But fortunately, dying doesn't matter until level 6. You won't lose experience until then. And nothing can bash you so you won't get stunned. That's how you get killed later on. You get bashed by one and then they all hit you simultaneously. You're done. You mentioned this was one of the biggest nerfs. Yes, so Project 1999 is a version of EverQuest before this mechanic was patched away. AoE dots on TLP and live servers only work on stationary targets. They can't move. Bards can't do this technique over there. If you want to know more about some of the biggest nerfs this game has seen, I actually have 2 videos. One specifically about Bard, because this is not the only thing to hit them. and one about all classes in general. That one, I actually got some other big EverQuest channels to collaborate with. It's really fun to watch. Now, I also did some quests. It's called EverQuest, but the quests are also rudimentary. Bone chips are pretty good experience for lower levels. I went to this necromancer guild to turn them in, but then I saw the faction hits and changed my mind. I don't want to be kill on sight by my home city's guards. And I also ran all the way to West Commonlands to turn in orc picks I was getting. Decent experience too, but also bad faction hits. Not doing those again. Over my time here, I got to level 4, and it gave me a song that lets me find corpses. It'll be valuable later. I was able to fill in all my gear slots with cloth, thank you skeletons, and I got enough to buy all the bags I wanted. I also had enough to buy all the instruments I need. That'll be important next level. It was also nice to get tells here and there thanking me for the videos. I appreciate all of y'all. One bard Sladen even gifted me a breastplate to put on. Thank you so much. So now I just need to save up for a magic weapon and new songs. The songs just keep getting more expensive, like a few more platinum every level. Why do you need a magic weapon? Some mobs are immune to regular weapons. My starter swords would do nothing on them. And it'll be important when I fight undead and will-o-wisps in later videos. The next day, I continued to farm more in the newbie yard, and I struck gold twice. Cracked staff. Sometimes you'll see skeletons walking around with the staff, and if you see that, make a beeline to them. Cracked staffs sell for 1 plat each, kind of like winning the lottery at this level when you really need money. I got to level 5, and that is huge for Bard. Bards get a new song called Silos Accelerando, or just called Silos. It is the fastest speed buff in the game. In a huge game world, speed matters. It starts out modest, not very fast, but as I level, it will incrementally get faster and faster. This early version only lasts for 18 seconds, unfortunately. In later expansions, Bards get 2 upgrades. In Luckland, Bards get a version that lasts for 2 minutes 30. And in Secrets of Fadewar, Bards get a clicky alternate advancement that lasts 5 minutes. Don't even need to have the song loaded anymore on your spell bar. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and that stuff will never exist on P99. Level 5 also starts a unique mechanic to Bards: instruments. Bards get the ability to use percussion instruments at level 5. Now, when you look at various song descriptions, it'll say what instrument type it is. If you use the right instrument for a song, it will boost the power of it. You can't get max speed without a drum equipped. I continue to farm some more. No experience for killing skeletons, unfortunately, but it's still worth it. I farmed up 100 bone chips to sell, and bone chips can be used for 2 main things. Necromancers and Shadow Knights need them to summon pets, but even more valuable, they can be used for fast experience. You'll see how quick it is later. I took my bone chips and went to the East Commonlands Tunnel. In early EverQuest, there was no dedicated auction house to buy and sell. So how did people trade their items? They would go to the East Commonlands Tunnel and shout out their wares. Real people at the screen buying and selling items. It's another way EverQuest forces you to talk with people. Heck, you can even haggle or trade if you want. Now, bone chips go for 10 plat per stack of 20, and with my 100 bone chips, I was able to make 50 platinum. Thank you, Beninoff, for buying them. Huge, huge. I went back to Freeport, and I quickly bought 2 songs that I can only get there. In the future, I plan on taking a boat ride to Fadewar, where you won't be able to buy them there. While I was waiting to buy a magic weapon, I farmed some animals for experience. They're in the same zone. These animals also drop pelts occasionally that you can sell for some good money as well. People use these pelts to make armor. So I actually sold some to a guy called Glibberish for 3 plat each. But this is where my luck turned bad. While I was killing a puma, a mummy snuck up and owned me. I didn't even see him coming. Couldn't even react to get away. This is one of the hard parts of EverQuest. There are random high-level mobs scattered throughout zones. If you're unlucky enough to cross their path, you're dead. And if you can barely see my screen as a half-elf, imagine being human and you're completely blind. You have no idea stuff is coming up on you and not even a chance to see it. But this leads to the worst part of EverQuest, death. Not only do you lose experience like I mentioned, you also have to recover your corpse. When you died in early EverQuest, all your gear, all your equipment stayed on that corpse. And it could disappear, it could vanish if you didn't get back fast enough, generally 7 days. You also got returned to your bind point. There's a spell called Bind Affinity that casters get, and it lets you set where you return to when you die. In some cases, your bind point could be hours away. Remember no maps, too? Better hope you remember where you died, because you'll lose everything if you can't find that body in time. It's common to see people shout here, "Where's my corpse?" And lastly, you have to do it naked. All your gear's on that corpse, it's not on you. So the worst case scenario possible is when you die deep in a dungeon that has full of hostile mobs on the way, and you somehow got to get past them with no armor, no weapons. So now I got to use that level 4 song I mentioned to help me find my corpse. It'll point you in the right direction. Some other classes also have spells that help you find corpses. Again, it's another way this game forces you to talk with other people. Not all classes can do this. After I got my body, I got revenge. I found that mummy, pulled him to a guard, and flipped him off as soon as he died. I forgot how hard P99 is. Because shortly after that, I had to run for my life because some higher level lion chased me, and I did not want a repeat of the mummy experience. After a few hours, I saw it. The weapon I wanted. Excalibur. No. Sanie's Claw. Pretty good weapon for a bard, and magic too, so it can hurt undead. Thank you, Yahweh, for selling it. But 40 my 50 platinum, gone. Now onto my journey to Fadewar for groups. Except a nice enchanter Quitten gave me haste. I can swing my weapons faster. With the fast attack speed and the better weapon, I was smoking mobs. But haste doesn't last long. I had to make use of it now. The new weapon was a huge improvement, hit a lot harder and quicker. And thank you, Quitten, thank you, Yahweh. More social interaction in 2 hours than I ever had playing Elder Scrolls Online for a few months, or other MMOs as well. So I destroyed a bunch of mobs, and the haste eventually wore off. I think it lasts about like 15, 16 minutes. And then I saw a person asking for help to get their corpse. Daicha was this level 4 Dark Elf who got too close to a cleric NPC that was kill on sight. Faction issues. Evil race next to a good faction NPC. That's what happened. Looked like he tried to recover the first corpse, but got too close and got killed again. Poor guy had to run 10-15 minutes 2 times just to die both times. I went down there and I pulled his corpse to the Nectalos zone line, and then I helped him get the second corpse. And then I explained how the corpse command works. You can drag corpses by doing /corpse in game. On P99, there's a common expression you'll hear. Pay it forward. People do a lot of favors for each other in P99 because the game itself is merciless. You need any help you can get. So if someone helps you out, go out of your way to help others. This game is special because of the attitude the community shares. Pay it forward. I was given that free breastplate, so I should return the favor to someone. Why do you want to play a game that's this hard? I think you can see how the difficulty brings people close. It's refreshing to see positive interactions on the internet for once. And also there's payoffs for that difficulty. You know, everything you get in this game is hard-earned. It's not handed to you because you killed 5 boars. It's handed to you because you defeated a challenge that was friggin' worthy of it. The lows are very low, and the highs are very high. This game just gets under your skin more than others I've played. Really gets you invested in it. Now on to the journey to Fadewar, the Elven continent. So I bought a fishing pole and started to fish, waiting for the boat, and then something unexpected happened. This ogre named Snotwad, this ogre shaman appeared, and he started role-playing his race with horrible spelling. He killed these humans on the docks and ate them, and then complained of them not being tasty. He looted a fishing pole and then asked me to grab him some bait. I got it for him because I didn't want to be eaten, and he thanked me. It was a good decision. Not long after, he broke his pole, and the fishing ended. And I suggested he go over to kill this other human, Bait Masterson, who had a pole in his hand. Yes, that's his real name. The ogre took him out and got a Bait Masterson's pole. And then we saw this dwarf fall out of the sky, and the ogre started to salivate. And then I asked, what is your top 10 list of tastiest foods? An ogre's top 10 list of tasty foods.
I can only count to 4.
An ogre's top 4 list of tasty foods. Number 4, elves. Number 3, baby elves. Number 2, humans. And number 1, halflings. I guess halflings are fat and tasty. As the boat started to go, he caught a rusty dagger from fishing, and I suggested he scratch his name into the boat's bathroom. Couldn't find the lavatory, so he goes into a corner and leaves a present. And I asked him, and he says ogres don't use toilet paper. Understandable, since the shortage. I had to go to the other side of the boat from how bad it smelled, though. Halfway on the trip, we parted ways, and he jumped off onto some island to go experience. Got pretty lonely once he left. And this boat ride came to an end in 16 minutes. This game does an amazing job at wasting your time, as well as making the world feel huge. It can take you hours to get from point A to point B. But one of the best parts about playing Bard, that CeeLo song is great at reducing how long you spend traveling. So I get off the docks and I make my way to Caladim, home of the dwarves, and the 2 best experience quests a low level will find. In Caladim, I run all the way to the back to Gunlock Jur in the Paladin Cleric Guild area. And he has one of the best bone chip quests in the game. Turn in 4 to him and you will watch the experience fly. Got me all the way to level 6, where I get a new song that helps me regenerate my group's health faster. Helps out healers save mana. Next, I do a run to Kelethin, the treehouse city of elves, one of the most iconic cities in EverQuest. It's also where newbies constantly fall to their deaths, because there's no guardrails. One of the most important things to do, though, when you get to a new area, is to bind, like I said. If I were to die here, I would be sent all the way back to Freeport naked, hours away, and have to do that long boat ride again. So a druid, Felby, helped me bind in Greater Fadark, so a corpse run would be trivial. Now, normal decorum is when someone binds you or ports you somewhere, you give them a tip as thanks, generally 1 platinum per level, so thank you, Felby. I run to the north part of Greater Fadark and get invited to my first group, Orc Hill. Coluil was a decked out rogue and Asclepius was a cleric. We did really well. Coluil did all the pulling and tanked excellently, and I was surprised on how experienced they were, because usually lower level players don't know how to play well. We massacred orcs and got many Crushbone belts, another quest we'll visit. I'll show you later. Over time, more people joined the group. We got an enchanter, who I can't say the name on YouTube. The cleric left and was replaced by a druid, and then another rogue joined, and a replacement cleric. A higher level bard showed up, Bulldops, nice Rick and Morty reference there, and he pulled a bunch of mobs and we beat it down for a mini power level. Thank you. Bulldops actually watched this channel for advice on playing Bard. Give me a quick compliment. I really appreciate it when you guys watch. There's so many options, but you choose to be here. I got to level 7 and got a self-haste song, helped me do a little bit more damage. But I failed to show one thing. So when Kalul went on a break to sell, I tried to swarm kite the orcs, and it did not go well. I was running for my life, and I almost got away. I actually could have zoned out at the Crushbone zone line, but then I saw these people there, and I didn't want to train them, and I ended up taking a death. And since I'm past level 6, there will be consequences. Once I was done in the group, I finished off by running to Kaladin for the second best quest for lower levels. In the Warrior Guild, Kano Newsback will reward you with leather armor for small races and great experience for every Crushbone belt. 10 belts took me halfway through level 7. Great experience. And you can also sell the belts to other people for about 2 to 3 plat each. Just like the bone chips, you can make a lot of money selling these things to get people quick levels. In ending, I want to thank you all so much for the support. I was really surprised by how social and friendly everyone is, and it's been a while since I played a version of EverQuest just like this. What about the punishment for death? Here we go. Oh.
Ready?
It sucks. Oh, that sucks. Oh. Alright, see you in the next video. Things were going great at the end of the last video, linked in the description and comments. Then logged on, and 1 single hour made me regret playing Project 1999. Now, I don't want to seem like a loser, but man, I miss how much easier the time lock progression servers are. I mean, I can already see it now. I guarantee there'll be a comment where a classic EQ player calls me a whiner.
Back in my day, we had to use dial-up to play. Had to get off the internet to make a phone call. You youngins have it so easy now.
Hey, I remember those days. I was old enough. It sounded like the Matrix whenever you went online. I don't know how I did it, but I got proof I can handle P99. Level 59 Bard right here on blue, but I think I suck now. As a reminder, there will be real-life consequences if I die, and these videos are trying to give EverQuest the respect it deserves but doesn't get in the MMO genre. I started off actually reading my comments, like a good YouTuber. You know, I deserve a pat on the head for that. Except, there was one commenter who really deserves it. I'm not able to find who you are, but please post here if it was you, because thank you, this was incredible. In my experience, quests suck. If quests could give you negative experience on modern servers, they would. I think it's because people used them so much and exploited them to such a degree that they got nerfed to oblivion. The developers were mad. But on P99, they're worth your time. Let's keep up this rhyme, or not. Reminds me of roses are red, violets are blue. Some poems rhyme, others don't. So I tried this quest out, and questioned why I even tried to kill to get levels 1 through 5. I am shocked sometimes by the comments I see. I think there's this perception of, Ion Blaze, oh, he knows everything about EQ, and he's the best bard ever to play. No, not at all. I would not want to go on EverQuest Jeopardy with y'all, and I am not the best bard. Just out of the players I know, there's like 3 to 4 people who play bard better than me, let alone the random player base. I'm just the guy who gets the most attention playing this class. And while we're talking about Bard, I mentioned last episode that Bards have several quirks. The biggest difference between P99 and the modern versions of the game are convenience. Bards can only be played manually on P99. So Bards can keep up 4 effects at a time, so every 3 seconds, that's how long it takes to cast one, you need to click a button to play the next song, to play a different song. Do that for hours, and you'll understand why it sucks. When your group gets to sit down and take a break, you don't get to. That is, if you're trying to maximize what the class can do. And if you're even further trying to maximize a class, you'll even swap out instruments to boost different songs. On TLP and live servers, there's a convenience feature called Melody. The game will automatically play those 4 songs on repeat, so you don't have to. You just have to click the melody button once, and those 4 songs will play infinitely, like driving an automatic car versus a manual. There's still times you'd want to play manual even with melody available, but that's for later on the Ayonic videos. No matter how you play though, or even what class, an MMO mouse is a lifesaver. This footage is played without one, and this footage is playing with one. So much easier. Playing Bard was notorious for giving you carpal tunnel, but it's not the case since using this MMO mouse. But now onto the zone that'll create the 4 regrets. Clan Crushbone is a home of a band of warmongering orcs. It is located directly north of the treetop city of Kelithin and is the major thorn in the sides of all the inhabitants of the island of Fador. This zone is legendary for its trains. Like I mentioned last video, many mobs are social. They'll gang up if they can. So a group will pull more than they can handle, and watch out. A river of mobs will be running right after you. So people would shout train to give warning and run to the zone line. There's only 2 ways everyone can drop aggro: die or zone. I gotta share this one story I saw on Reddit just about this zone. This particular event happened while I was just trying out the mage class. I was around level 15 and leveling in Crushbone. I was having trouble finding a group, and I was just wandering around killing time waiting for a spot to open, and I went up onto Trainer Hill, and I noticed that you could actually see into the tower of the castle where the 2 most powerful mobs were. Then I had an idea. I remembered that mages had bolt spells. Bolt spells were nukes that had an extremely long range, but you needed line of sight to your target, and I wondered, would it be possible to shoot a spell from Trainer Hill into the window where the boss mobs were? Yes. Bored and curious, I threw the spell just to see what would happen, and my expectation was that they'd rush out of the castle straight towards me and I'd just run to the zone. No big deal. But Crushbone was infamous for one thing: absolutely horrible mob pathing. As I waited on the hill watching, nothing seemed to happen, and after some time I assumed that the bosses had been killed. But soon, I began to see shouts in the zone. Does anyone know why Emperor Crush is running circles inside the castle? Now, there was another odd thing about mob aggro. All the smaller minions of a boss would drop their target and follow the boss. I had the 2 most powerful mobs in zone trying to attack me, and it meant that every other orc on the way that they passed would drop what they were doing and follow along the horrible pathing to me. And I began to see more and more confused people shouting in the zone, asking why a gigantic train of mobs was running erratically around the castle. And before long, I saw Emperor Crush and about a dozen orcs burst out the castle door and proceeded to start running laps around the outside of the castle. And after a lap or 2, I began to get somewhat worried, as basically the entire zone erupted in shouts of massive train going somewhere, everyone be careful. Knowing that I was number 1 on their poop list, I made my way to the zone exit, and I sat there inches from the zone, ready to book it in a hurry, but constantly waiting for the mobs to show. After about 5 minutes, I finally saw Emperor Crush turn the corner, followed by pretty much the entire zone behind him. Needless to say, I bounced, but everyone else in the zone wasn't as prepared. Another odd thing about aggro and EverQuest was that once their primary target was gone, like they died or they left the zone, the mobs would actually wait in place for a few seconds before starting to run back to their spawn points. During this time, if they came across another target, another player, they'd swarm attack them. So this meant that as soon as I had zoned out, all the mobs instantly became hostile to absolutely everyone nearby, and I had dragged every last mob in the zone to the only exit. I wanted to see the damage, so I put on invisibility and zoned back over to a veritable sea of corpses. I played, in quotes, the Good Samaritan role, offering to drag corpses back to the entrance. And since no one knew I was responsible, several people agreed and I brought them back to the entrance, but about 30 feet away from it. Just close enough so that they would all be thankful, but just far enough so as to cause a delay if they needed to get out in a hurry. Once the corpses were collected, people were amassing just outside the zone, waiting for it to be safe. I then climbed back up to Trainer Hill, threw another bolt at my good friend Emperor Crush, and told everyone that the zone entrance was clear. Dozens of people came in to start looting their corpses. Suddenly, the Orc squad turned the corner. Following that, enough people created reports that a game master appeared in the zone, a big boss. Nobody suspected me, so I felt just evil enough to pull the stunt one more time. While the GM was busy rezzing everyone, I made another trek up to Trainer Hill, and everyone felt rather safe now that the GM was there, but I don't think the GM was fully prepared for what would happen. He saw the swarm and started to engage them, but once the full force of orcs arrived, he was unable to handle them all fast enough before all the players died again. And when I zoned back into Crushbone, I saw 3 GMs had been brought in to assist, including the head GM for the server. The head GM proceeded to death touch the entire zone, wiping it clean, and announced to the zone that if they caught whoever was doing it again, that they would receive a permanent ban on their account. So back on with my adventure, I found a group late at night, a wizard and 2 rogues, and somehow we managed without a tank or a healer. I got to level 8, which is another big milestone. Bards get access to use stringed instruments and also get a lull song. So stringed instruments will make health regen song and those AoE dots stronger, and the lull song will help me split apart packs when I pull, so I don't have an Omega train like that story. But all hell broke loose when we accidentally pulled 2 Legionnaires, some of the hardest orcs in the zone. So one of the halflings was scuttling his little hairy feet not to get uber smashed. We were only able to kill one, and the other one is full health, so we had to book it. We had to run, but one of the rogues died, unfortunately. After recovery, we tried out the wall camp just outside the castle, and I made use of my new lull song, but it wasn't enough for this crap. There was like 10 Centurions running like Usain Bolt over here, and there was no way to split this clean. Just had to pull as few as possible. And it went okay, but then something went horribly not okay. I used the lull song to split these 2 orcs on the bridge to the castle, and the moment I pulled the Legionnaire, I didn't see the mistake I made. I turned around and just said run to my group. I couldn't get away. This orc warlord was much higher in level and was also Usain bolting around the castle. He just ran out the front door as soon as I pulled the Legionnaire. He joined the fight and we got smoked. And I asked the group, I was curious, did I just not see him? But no, he just booked it out of the castle as soon as he pulled. There was nothing he could have done. So that's death number 1. Not excited for the end of the video. Now to the part that made me really regret playing P99. I wanted to try Orc Hill because there wasn't those crazy pathers like near the castle. And I was able to bring the named Orc trainer down the hill, but he was way higher level than me. Every swing, he hit home, he hit hard. And when you're low on health in EverQuest, you start to run even slower, and you also get something called low hit point aggro. Everything will selectively attack you to finish you off. Yeah, this game's a dick. Death number 2. I wasn't even upset about the experience loss or the corpse recovery. I just don't want to get the punishment at the end. But I basically lost all the experience I spent hours trying to get. And this game is demoralizing at times. But it was late at night, the group ended, and at least the night ended okay. So I saw a fan of the channel, Elias, outside of Felwith, the High Elf starting city, and I showed him that mail delivery quest. You'll see Elias here and there on the comments. I actually really appreciate all of you guys for the support that you give, and it's nice to see y'all when I play. So I gave him Bard speed for the run, and I showed him how the quest works. He was level 4, so when he checked his experience bar, it just jumped. So thank you, Elias, and all the commenters for support, because I only found out about that quest because of you. I was not aware of it. Next day, more regret. Got into a group right off the bat at the wall camp, and I saw a rogue I played with the other day. You know, it's a small world here. You'll see a lot of familiar faces. I got revenge on that orc warlord who owned me the prior day, but unfortunately no experience. So in EverQuest, levels really matter when you're in a group. If someone in the group is a lot higher level than you, you won't get experience. They'll steal it all. And I think it's generally a 5-level difference you can have, but it gets wider the higher you get. So the higher level mage, he chose to leave so I could get experience. And it went all good until this legionnaire. Man, I hate these mobs so much. I had too much aggro and I just couldn't shake it. And it kept swinging for max damage. So when mobs are much higher level than you, they hit a lot harder. It's like they hit for max damage every single time. And that's what happened with the trainer. I just got smoked again. Recovered the corpse, pulled another legionnaire, and got revenge, but death total's like, what, 3? Wouldn't be the last. I saw a glitch I never heard of. So I was able to pull the orc trainer again. Why he's special is because he can drop a shield that's really good for low levels, and it also acts as a light source so you can see better in dark areas. Great for humans, or erudites. Didn't drop it though. We took him out, but really with any of these mobs, I wouldn't be able to kill any of them without a group. It's really a team effort here. And after that, I tried to split with Lowell again, and it went totally wrong. So 3 things can happen when you use Lowell. It can work, it can resist, or it can critical resist. If that happens, you better run, because it's going to pull aggro of everything. So I saw a bunch of mobs coming right at me, and I decided to book it. But the group chose to fight it out. We killed the lower level orc, and then I saw something I've never seen before. The legionnaire was beating up First Ludo, the rogue in our group, and it got him all the way down to 0 health. The healer was out of mana, and he looks done for. Then he instantly regens to full health. Nobody healed him. And then we killed the legionnaire, and I asked if anybody did anything, but no. And then the druid in our group explained that sometimes when bards are using the health regen song, it can bug out and do a full heal. Guess he's seen it a couple times. Should not be able to do this, but somehow it did, and it saved this dude's bacon. Bards for the win, doing stuff I didn't even know they could do. Another pull goes wrong at the same spot. Got a little too close, and everything starts coming, and I decide to book it again. Another train, except the group tries to tough it out again. They get the legionnaire alone, and I start to kite all the extras are outside the entrance. They kill the legionnaire, and then I bring the rest over and we mop it all up. And I got to level 9. So I'm just thinking that could be a good strategy for when things get too hairy. Just kite the mass of mobs while the group beats down one at a time. We get an actual tank to join, and things go smooth. We were able to pull another named orc called the Taskmaster. Took him down easy despite him being much higher level than me. Another druid joined and went this tree illusion as a joke. Group was smoking, and it just got better. It's weird how this game swings from disaster to smooth sailing in just like a few minutes. This higher level druid, Mercer, came by to help, and he gave us a damage shield and started to pull all the highest level stuff possible. Damage shields are an effect that hurts mobs when they hit you. High level ones can pretty much do 99% of the work to kill a mob, You just have to land at least one hit or 1 point of damage to get experience for the kill. So wave after wave of mobs are brought in and die to the damage shields. Thank you for the help, Mercer. I go sell, and the group moves into the Throne Room camp. It is the highest level camp in the zone. Everything is going good until Ambassador Devin, the hardest mob in zone. He's not that bad alone, but every mob respawned in that room at the worst possible time. They all started to attack me because Bard songs create a lot of aggro here on P99. All the healers ran out of mana trying to keep me alive, and then it just cascades. I die, aggro transfers to everyone else, the whole group wipes, and death number 4. Mercer and a druid in our group pulled all the corpses to the zone line, which was much appreciated, but geez, this game is really hard. You make a lot of progress and then lose it all in one death, over and over again. And then one last pull basically ended the group. I accidentally fell off into the stream, and the mod pathing went all wrong, as is usual here. And I just decided to book it to the zone line, because ads are definitely coming. I drop aggro by zoning out, and then see one of the legendary Crushbone trains. Choo-choo, man. Man, I probably ran to the zone line like 5 to 6 times this day. You've never played EverQuest until you've experienced a train. And the absolute worst zones for trains are the ones with just one way in and one way out. Everything slams to it. And if you zone in at the wrong time, you're going to need new underwear. So the group pretty much ended there, outside the zone in. I farmed the last bit of experience to get level 10, and I got the dodge and meditate skills. Meditate helps casters regen mana quicker when sitting. It doesn't really work on bards, but it helps you load songs faster. And then I ran to Kaladin and turned in all the belts I'd earned. Good experience, but not as much as when I was lower level. I'm probably just going to sell any belts I get now, because the money is more important. Logged on a bit later and then got lucky with another power level. Found a group quickly at wall and got a huge cleric hit point buff, so it became a lot less squishy. Then this higher level bard, Rampagius, pulled mobs for us. He was trying to power level this one mage in our group, I think. So he held aggro and we beat the swarm all down over and over. So thank you for that experience. Got to level 11. The next day, I was close to getting to 12, so I just soloed a bit. I didn't want to be in a group for hours. And the ding was a team effort. One guy got overwhelmed by the Orc trainer, who's still higher in level than me, ran him all the way to the zone out, and I thought to try out the swarm kiting technique. It didn't work well. Right before I thought about zoning, this guy, Datalizer, showed up and rooted him. Game on. No way I could face tank this mob, but I could dot it to death, so I stood just out of range and kept up the AoE dot. Datalizer kept him rooted. Root broke a couple times, but it went all well. Trainer started to flee, went at low health, and it was over. Ding 12. Got the forage skill, and it'll randomly give you food and drink when you're successful. And later that day, I actually stream sniped Nathan Napalm and Renfail. I guess they have a thing going on Friday nights. But before I close up the video, when the Yellonak server opens, I will be exclusively playing there until certain milestones are done. My plan is just to play and record content as I go, and then make all the videos and release them all at once, kind of like a Netflix season. I'll try to come back to P99 after that. But as promised, the 4 reasons I regret playing Project 1999 right now. There were 4 deaths, so 4 punishments.
You don't bite your tongue.
Just go. Oh, now the other one, because I have 4. I have 4.
I can't do this
Go,
one.
go. Oh, go, just go. Oh, okay. You gotta do a second one. Oh,
Other side.
oh, this is horrible. What do I do for the videos, man? Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Beautiful.
This is horrible. This is actually the worst one. I'd rather take the eggs, man. You'd slap me any day, just not this. It's ready to burn, too.
So burning, that's not good.
Yeah.
Two guards are all that stand in our way to get EverQuest's
Epic fabled loot.
Will we succeed or will we die?
As a reminder, there will be a real-life punishment if I die in this video. Last episode linked in the description and comments. Let's show why EverQuest deserves more respect in the MMO genre. Boats. I was as squishy as a gummy bear when I needed to be as squishy as a Lego brick. So I took several deaths last episode because my armor was made of toilet paper. The orcs were laughing at me, so I took a long boat trip to Freeport. Let's get some better armor. Now, usually most players will go for banded armor. If you can wear chain, that's what armor you get first. I was working up my blacksmithing skill to make it, but I realized 25 plat and my bad credit score wasn't enough to afford an armor loan. So I bought the next best thing, leather armor, 21 pounds for 50 armor class. And fortunately, it only cost a little over 10 plat for a full set. I no longer look naked, but I was actually about to get out of it real soon. I needed money, and not like how you think, you perverts. With armor covered, I now need to save up the plat to buy spells. So I went to the common lands and tried to sell my junk in a trunk. I got bone chips and crushed bone belts. And in the meantime, I killed will-o-wisps to get a better light source, a lightstone. There was some drama in the tunnel when I was there. Someone kept training mobs into it and killing all the low-level traders. And then these people tried to troll me. This werewolf looked like it was glitching out. But unfortunately, nobody wanted to buy my orc belts. But they did want my bone chips, so I sold 80 of those for 40 plat. Then I got hit up by a subscriber to do
Mission Impossible.
Rimrock, or in the comments you'll see him Excalibur. He loves to roleplay as an ogre, bad spelling, and hungry for tasty druids. He asked me what I was wearing, leather. Then he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So banded takes about 100 blacksmithing skill to make. I was at 18. I thought it was easy and affordable to achieve the necessary skill, but I was wrong. It took Rimrock 10 hours and a lot of money to achieve. So he offered to make me a set of banded if I could get him the parts. So I bought all the ingredients for about 25 plat and gave them to him outside the city gates. Normally banded costs 91 plat for a full set, so I'm getting it at cost. Huge discount. But there was a problem. Ogres aren't welcome in Freeport. The closest forge to craft banded is in Freeport.
Operation Mission Impossible.
He followed me invisible into the city. We snuck past all the hostile guards, and I showed him to the forge,
all was going well until 2 guards walked right through the area. Fortunately, Rimrock was able to craft while invisible, but the guards were an ever-constant threat. I kept an eye out. And then, success. I lead him out and collected the prize. A full set of banded armor, 91 armor class, and 47 weight. My survivability just massively increased. But it was the wrong size. Nah, just kidding. It can happen though. Races do wear different size armor. This cleric gave us some quick buffs, and then Rimrock made a mistake he'd soon regret. Rimrock was hungry, and he tried to take a bite out of me. But I ran to the guards before he could, and told them that they were also tasty. So he tries to eat the guards, but it goes horribly wrong. The guards break distance and destroy his health bar. He turns around and tries to cast Feign Death to escape, but it's too late. I haven't been able to show this yet. So as you know, death sucks really bad on Project 1999, in this version of EverQuest. Rimrock got sent all the way back to the Ogre starting city, maybe a 15 to 20 minute run. Nothing on, and what's even worse is the experience loss. When you get higher in level, a death can erase days worth of grinding. So this leads to another way EverQuest forces you to be social. Reses. Certain classes like clerics, paladins, and necromancers can resurrect a person. It'll bring them all the way back to their corpse so they don't have to do that run. But more importantly, experience recovery. Clerics have the best res, and it'll restore 96% of the experience you lost. So I found the cleric who gave us the buff earlier, brought her to Rimrock, and got a res for him. And as is proper decorum, you tip clerics for reses. So after 2 days, I just couldn't sell those Crushbone belts. I just turned them in and got some decent experience. Then I went to Crushbone and couldn't find any open groups, so I took a journey to hack EverQuest. Steamfont Mountains, the starting area for gnomes. This is an obscure camp. I remember these minotaurs that were pretty easy to solo, but there was this rogue also killing them, so I checked another part of the zone to EXP. It was a big mistake. I pulled these earth elementals that were a good level, was going to swarm them, and I thought they could only hit you with root if they were in melee range. I was wrong. They were able to cast root on me from far away, and each time I tried to escape, they rooted and beat on me. And I reached this point where I accepted my fate. I went unconscious. Then I hacked. No, not really, but that glitch that happened in the last video happened again. I had up my Bard regen song, and it miraculously restored me to full health. And from there, I was finally able to make my getaway. And then I got my second stroke of luck. A special mob in zone called the Minotaur Hero was up. A level 35 warrior. Now, there's no way I could kill it, but there was this ranger in zone, Evangeline, that killed it and left its special quest item for anybody to loot. I got lucky and I was able to get it. It'll be the best piece of gear I own very soon. The rogue that was at the Minotaur camp left, and it was all open, so I decided to try out my swarming skills. Great success. These Minotaurs drop gems, axes that sell for 3 to 4 plat, and Minotaur horns that actually act as a wind instrument. That'll be useful soon. I went to the gnome city of Akanon to sell and put stuff in the bank and check out the zoo. It's a really cool zone, all underground with these massive water systems combined with technology. I did some more swarms and got levels. Level 13. And level 13, I found out you can actually pull more. So skeletons and harpies run at the same speed as the minotaurs, so I just ended up pulling everything. And the more you pull, the quicker you level. And then a bit later, I saw something that's not supposed to exist. A human druid. This fan of the channel, Azil, came by and hit me with some quick druid buffs, and now I can really show what I meant by damage shields. So he gave me a buff that'll do 24 points of damage every time I get hit. So I ran to fight those earth elementals that almost killed me, and I smoked them quick. The damage shields are one of the best ways to power level lower level characters. They just put in all the work. Now, by this point, I had a lot of coin that was weighing me down. So this is a trick. You can go to a vendor and buy cheap things from them to soak up all the copper and silver that's weighing you down. And then you resell it back at a slight loss. This helps you keep your weight under control and avoid having to go to banks. So jewels are actually one of the most cost-efficient ways to move money, and they weigh much less than coin. I continue to swarm and get level 14, and level 14 gives me access to use the last instrument skill, Wind. So Wind is used for the Bard Levitate song, water breathing, and invisibility. Now, during this swarm, you can get an idea of what happens if it goes wrong. So once you get mobs that are over level 5 or so, many of them get the ability Bash, and that will stun you if you get hit. So if you get too close, one of them will bash you, it'll stun you in place, and then the swarm all catches up, and every single one of them hits you at the same time. So fortunately, this is only a few mobs, so it's not that big of a deal. But to really rack an experience and be efficient, you want to pull everything you can. So if you get stunned once with like 25 plus mobs behind you, you're just dead. The quickest experience in the game, but one stun or bad lag spike, and you're dead. I wanted to check out some other zones for swarming and buy some exclusive songs, so I got my first port. Portopotamus, that's a great name. He brought me to North Karana and bound me at the gypsy camp. It's a really risky spot though. There's tons of hostile mobs that wander through it. Redcon, much higher level. You could die and then respawn right back into getting killed again. You can get into a death loop actually. But the gypsy camp is the closest port and bind spot there is for this side of the world. I make my way through the Karanas. West Karana is one of the longest zones in game, and along the way I found some bandits and killed them by swarming. And bandits drop these quest items called bandit sashes. Now in episode 3 of Thornblade, I actually killed these same mobs and did the same quest, and the experience reward was terrible. Not worth it at all, but it'll be very different here on P99. Now, strangely, this is not the last Thornblade callback you'll see this video. So I run my way to Kanos to do the turn-in, and the experience bar didn't move much, but it's much, much better than the modern server rewards. And another bonus of doing this quest is you'll get bronze weapons that sell for a few plat each. It's a great way to make money. The Bandit Sash quest, though, I think it's better for lower levels. You'll get a lot more experience the lower level you are. So I go to the docks, and I wait for the boat to Otis. So this game feels so huge because of the long distances of travel and boat rides. Halfway to Otis is Arid's Crossing, and this is actually one of my dad's favorite zones back in the day. This little island no one goes to that's great for the teens. I actually grind here on one of my Thornblade videos. Then I make it to Erudin, the starting city for good erudites. Erudites were a splinter of humans that possessed higher intelligence and magical ability. They are named after their leader Arid, who led them across the ocean to settle this island. The reason I needed to go here was because of some exclusive bard songs. I just got the wind instrument skill, and the first notable song that uses it is Invisibility. And the Invisibility song is only sold in Aerodin. I can load this song up once I get level 19. So now I'm out in the middle of nowhere. This side of the world is generally empty. You won't find anybody. Then I see someone I was not supposed to see. If you watch my Thornblade adventure videos, you'll recognize this guy from episode 2. Wolfdar. I was not expecting to see him on the server. You know, Thornblade is a far fetch from Project 1999, but I guess he installed P99 when I made one of my last videos, and he got to level 15 fast. I caught him as he was doing a quest out here. But after all that, I went back to Kanos to acquire the best piece of gear I'll have. So remember that Minotaur hero? He was an escaped arena champion in Kanos. So when you return his shackles to this warrior guildmaster underneath the arena, you'll get hero bracers. It is one of the best wrist slot items for play classes. 10 bonus strength. It's huge in the early game when stuff weighs a lot. And it's got this cool green color. After that, it's time to kill will-o-wisps for a different quest. These mobs are special because they can't be hurt by regular weapons. You have to use magic or magic weapons. So the piercer I got really matters here. The Kanos side of the world is one of my favorite areas of the game. In a later expansion, you actually revisit these very zones I'm in. In the 15th expansion called Seeds of Destruction, you're attempting to repair critical fractures in this world's timeline, in Norath's timeline. You go back to these notable historical events to restore the past to what was supposed to happen. If you fail, the planet is destroyed. Before Kanos, there were bands of humans who set up villages in this area, but something horrible came across the land. A temple was set up to the god of disease, Bartoxylus, coincidentally the name of the server I first played on with my dad. The temple grew in power and started to corrupt the lands nearby. Brave commander Antonius Bale led the humans to destroy the temple and cleanse the area of the disease to what it looks like as I'm killing these will-o-wisps now. But in the dark timeline, the followers of Bartoxylus are increased in power and are able to overwhelm the resistance. I made my way back to North Korana to farm will-o-wisp there. Why am I doing this? So in the gypsy camp that I bound at, there's a woman named Maricela that gives great experience for turning in lightstones. But what's even better is the money. For great lightstones, you can sell the quest reward to get 9 plat each. It's one of the best ways for a lower level to make money while also experiencing. And all those quest turn-ins get me to level 15. And this is a huge level because I get my first mez. I can now handle when pulls go bad. You'll see later in the video how clutch this will be. At level 15, the will-o-wisps weren't giving any good experience. I came here too late in level, so I decided to move. This is where the video's title comes in. I think I need to take anger management therapy because of druids. I ran to the druid ring and saw this druid sitting there giving people boards. So I tipped him some money, and he said he was waiting for some other people in zone to show up. All good. So I turned off my recording, and then the most BS death I've ever had happens. This wandering green con wolf attacks me at the druid ring, which is no big deal. I can easily beat it. Except the red con druids just sitting nearby join the fight. This wolf walks into me, picks the fight, then the friggin' druids nearby decide to jump my expletive because PETA. So I try to run away, but it's futile. The druid snares me, and it's over. At least I was bound there in zone, but then the second reason I need anger management because of druids. I recovered my corpse real quick, and I ran back to the druid ring for that port. And the druid I tipped leaves without me. Doesn't even notice. Takes everyone where they want to go, drops the group, and doesn't even come back. I took a BS death, then got my tip taken, and no port. My video about why I hate druids will be linked in the description. I was already mad, but then it got worse. So no port. what's plan B? So there are a few exclusive songs in High Keep, just like Erudin, and I'm not that far from High Keep. The water breathing and levitate songs are there. I made my way through the last Karana, up the path through the hills, and I got to High Pass. Anyone who's played EverQuest will know what problem I'm about to face. The single most dangerous part of going from one side of Norath to the other, from going to Kanos to Freeport, is High Pass. There is only one way through, and it's through a pack of hostile mobs on each side. I don't have a way to go invisible for 4 more levels. The only tool I have is Lull, but I get 2 back-to-back critical Lull resists and have to zone each time. And then I finally get past the first null, and then there's just a lot more in the path. Something goes wrong, and every friggin' null starts running at me. I zone it again. Another try. Again, every null comes at me, except this time, one thing goes horribly wrong. Right before I hit the zone out, one of the caster nulls roots me. I'm just fuming. This was 30 minutes after the whole druid thing and BS death there. And then this. The line of sight is terrible here. I wasn't close to anything, but for some reason every dang null aggroes me. So I make the long run back and recover the corpse. The whole time just like cursing under my breath. Lost so much experience over 2 stupid deaths. And now another druid enters the picture. Chiplord was this shaman soloing at the zone line, and he saw my corpse there, and I think he felt sorry for me. He offered to bring his druid down to help me get past. And I asked him if he really wanted to. Like, I don't have much to tip, and it's a long run to get here, but he insists. So I'm just waiting for his druid to show up, and this other bard zones in, Melodici. He gave me a kind compliment for the videos, and Melodici, just like me, was too low in level to have Invis, and he wants to get by. And he faces the same fate I had a few minutes prior. All the friggin' gnolls swarm and kill him right at the zone out. I pull his corpse to safety, and then Gulilla, this female halfling druid, shows up. She invises me, and we get past everything. And I buy the exclusive songs in High Keep. I try to tip her, but she declines, and she gives me a port to the Common Lands, all free. I get a bind in Freeport, and all good. Galilla's generosity really saved the day. I was so angry, and then her kindness turned it all around. Thank you so much. And that's one thing that makes this game so dang special. You could be having the worst day, and then one person's kindness turns it all around. And that social interaction is what's so sorely missing in newer MMOs, and it's what I'm trying to spotlight in these videos. It's why EverQuest is still such a special game. It's not the game itself, it's the people you meet playing it. I guess not all druids are bad. After that, I needed to make up levels. I saw Elias was already level 20, and when I started, he was 4. So, let's go swarm. I went to North Row and did the most dangerous swarm yet. Pulled every dervish bandit I could find and beat them down. Now, I don't want to swarm the whole entire way up to max level, but one thing I don't care for about P99 is I feel like it punishes you for being in groups. A lot of my deaths came from being in a group and things going wrong, whereas generally when I've soloed, it's always been very safe. And the experience rate that I've gotten in groups is just absolute terrible, just trash. But I'll need to keep my skills sharp, so I'll group occasionally here and there. So the worst part about these dervishes is when they started fleeing. So I had to chase this one ogre who was trying to catch a wave. Unfortunately, some of the dervishes can be casters. These ogre females are shaman and will run speed buff their allies, and erudites, I think they're the wizards or something, they can root and nuke you. So I pulled one of the Erudite solo and just got destroyed. And you'll see I'm down to 14 hit points. Basically red barring it. And then I pull a clutch save. Remember that Mez song I got at level 15? I kept it playing while I sat to camp out. 30 seconds of nail biting, and then I was out of there. Had to wait a little bit, the login screen, so the mob passed back. Log back in, and all clear. Almost 3 deaths. I tried swarming some crocodiles, and this monk got me the last kill to get level 16. I now get to use the water breathing song. And after some time there, I wanted to move. There was just no safe spot to swarm the crocodiles in Oasis. And then the dervishes just had too many casters that were in the middle of these camps that would just ruin the entire pull. You have to pull melees only to swarm. So I wanted to check out the best expansion for swarming, Kunark. I took a raft ride to Timorous Deep with these 2 druids. And one of the druids did me a favor I wouldn't appreciate until much later. So this raft takes you to an island where a boat will transport you to a Kunark zone I don't want to go to, be over there. But if I could run across this gigantic ocean, this gigantic zone, I could get to another island that'll take me to the Kunark zone I want to go to, Furion of Eye. So one of the druids gave me a levitation buff, and I put it to good use. So there's no way I was going to swim that whole distance safely, but I could run it. So I started the run and eventually found the boat that takes you to the wrong Kunark zone, the over there. But it also takes you most of the way towards the island I wanted. So I hitched a ride and chatted with this troll that was on it. Then I jumped off when it was close and crossed my fingers that the levitate wouldn't wear off early. And after much running, I saw it. And just in time, too, the levitate wore off as soon as I got to the docks. Then I took these little mini barges and hopped onto the big boat. Next stop, Furion of Eye. Beautiful statue welcoming you into the zone. I got a bind from this nice dwarf cleric and some buffs, and he declined to take a tip. So again, thank you guys so much for the help. Like, normally you tip for these services, but people are very generous here. Now on to the Lake of Ill Omen. You have to follow this stream and dodge redcon spiders to get there. This game never makes it easy. The Lake of Ill Omen is the ancient site of the city of Varnek, which was cursed ages ago and has since sank beneath the waters, giving the local area its name. The reptilian Sarnak have moved into the area and have secured an ancient fortress to the southwest. The goblins have established a mine in the hills in the north of the lake. The brood of Koti's clan of Ixar have taken it upon themselves to eradicate the Sarnak from the area and have directed their trainees to do so. This zone was perfect for swarming. I found some open spots that were relatively flat with no pathers and all good level mobs. Ding 17. And the 2 abilities I get this level are so important. I had to take a multi-hour trip back to a bard guild just to get them as soon as possible. At this level, bards get 2 major abilities, dual wield and sneak. Dual wield lets me equip 2 weapons at the same time, so I'll do more melee damage, and sneak is situationally useful. If you use sneak behind hostile NPCs, they'll con indifferent. They won't attack you on sight. This is useful for when you need to sell to a hostile vendor or use a hostile banker. So normally, they won't do business with you. But if you sneak behind them, you can bypass those faction issues. Then I do the biggest swarm I've ever done. If I get hit once, I'm dead. This swarm gave me so much experience. I went from halfway to basically level 18. And then a small pole finished it off. And I get the single best upgrade to swarming I'll ever get. Denon's Disruptive Discord. It's a brass AoE dot that has a much bigger range than the Chords of Dissonance I've been using for 17 levels. So I can now keep a much safer distance, but I don't intend to. With 2 dots rolling, I can kill much quicker. It's a little more complicated because I have to swap out instruments, but all good. I do a little quick test and game on. But it's that time now. I had 2 deaths, so there's going to be 2 punishments. One of them actually suggested by you.
Oh yeah, that one's... Oh, that's pretty bad. Oh, that's pretty bad.
Timer doesn't start till you get them both on. Okay. How's it feel?
Horrible.
Don't touch them.
Horrible. Oh, I don't know how long I can do this. This really hurts. This really hurts.
I'm sorry, you have to keep
Oh.
going. Nope. Tell your audience you don't ever want to die again.
Oh no. This is horrible.
Keep going. You got like 13 more seconds, bro.
Oh.
Look at the camera. Let's see. Look at me.
This is... Okay, I need him off. I need him off. This
Okay. Let's see the mark. Come here.
Oh.
Oh, that ended.
Oh, these are horrible.
Yeah.
Let's finish it off.
You f***ing like the sauce, don't you?
I'm not paying for it yet.
I just like scoop it.
Oh man. I might need some Tums after this.
No tubs.
Okay, ready?
Yep. Now drink the sauce. You still got sauce in there, bro. You gotta use the whole thing. Look at the camera. Let's see your suffering.
It's actually not that bad.
Oh, Ion, you're gonna take the risky route through.
Holy smokes, guys. This is going to be a nightmare of a corpse recovery. There's no res. Welcome back to the world of old school EverQuest, Project 1999 Green Server. Link for the last episode will be in the comments and descriptions. Let's go. Picking back up from the last episode, I just got to level 18, where I get the second song that supercharges my ability to solo, and I put it to good use. Levels 19 through 23 all quickly done in the Lake of Ill Omen, pulling a bunch of skeletons and then slowly dotting them to death while running in circles. Pro tip, the best bards pop nausea medicine like candy. And this is where I stopped playing P99 for a long time. I went on to make a series on the Ayonic server, and it didn't go so great in the end. Word of advice: don't join the Zerg guild. They take anybody, i.e. the trash vultures don't even want. Then I checked the EverQuest 2 progression server, Varsoon. It has been a blast, but it's a while between expansions, so I played some P99 in the meantime, and boy, I picked a great time to come back.
I am Blaze official. What's up, man? put out great quality stuff. Thank you. Some of the best streams you've seen. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I checked out Twitch one night and saw Level Up Larry playing a 20-something shaman, and guess where? Right where I last parked level 23 Ayonic 8 to 9 months ago. I can group with him? So I log on, and to my surprise, he lets me in the group.
Oh, man, we got a bard up in this bad boy right here. All right, who needs buffs?
That first night was so much fun, and I find out he's going to play again next night. Sweet. He was doing a series called Legacy of Ick. So Level Up Larry was playing a shaman named Groza, and the tank Syriax, they both signed up for the permadeath part. If they die, they have to delete their character and start over again from scratch. The stream ends, so I got from 18 to 23, but I never bothered to pick up the new songs, and they're important. Level 19 gives me group invisibility. High pass will no longer be a problem like it was last episode. I get the first mana song at 20, which is huge for casters, and a combined snare slow song at 23. Just a little problem though. It took 5 hours to get them. The songs are spread all over the place, and I just forgot how friggin' long you have to wait for the boat in this game. It really picks up the second day we group. Level Up Larry had something like 100 people watching him on Twitch, and then I had 20 to 30 on YouTube. So this is a huge event EQ-wise. I get to level 24 by killing monsters with them at the Sarnak Fort, and this is a spot that Reptox dominated way back in the day. So shout out to Flats, Reptox. Doesn't make videos anymore, but his series is what got me and many other people back into EQ. At the Sarnak Fort, the new songs were helpful immediately. When many monsters get below 20% health, they like to flee, they like to run away, and especially they like to run into their friends for help. So pretty soon you'll get like 2, 3, 4 buddies fighting you, and you're gonna die. To further complicate things, some of these Sarnaks are shaman that'll give their friends a run speed buff, so they'll run away crazy fast. If you land a snare on them, the fleeing mobs can't run away when they get low health. Bard Snare made this camp a lot less stressful. In EverQuest, it isn't enough to beat a mob down, you gotta finish the fight too. I forgot how hard this game is. No map, everything hits like a truck, everything is trying to kill you, huge penalty for dying, takes forever to travel, and you need help to do anything significant. Classic EverQuest is for masochists, but at the same time, the stakes are everything. I've never played an MMO that's this terrifying but exhilarating at the same time. Everything is so hard earned that any success feels great. Day 3. Teaming up again with Level Up Larry, but I got put into a hard spot. They want to check out a camp in Swamp of No Hope, but I'm camped out in Lake Ill Omen. Okay, speak English please, who cares? I have 2 ways to go to the Swamp of No Hope. They're both incredibly dangerous. I don't know if I can even do it. Option A, I run through Furionovi. I have bad memories of Furionovi. There are many mobs that are 10 to 20 levels higher than me and kill on sight. Shouldn't be that bad, right? Because I got Invis now. No. There are these level 30 something Froglock Shaman that haunt me to this day. They run crazy fast because they got a run speed buff, they see through Invis, huge aggro radius, combined in a zone that's so hilly you can't see what's right in front of you. And worst of all, you try to run away, they'll root you in place. I had one day on P99 Blue that was so bad, I won't forget it. I died 3 to 4 times just because of these shaman. They are that bad. Okay, so what's option B? I can run through the Ixar home city of Cabalus, where everything wants to kill me and everything can one-shot me. If something sees Invis, I am dead. But it's a shorter run, and there's not much that can see Invis. So I did option B, live on stream. It didn't go bad. It was a very short run, and I met up with the Legacy of It crew, and we killed some Ixor exiles in the Swamp of No Hope. Wasn't a great experience for them, so they got antsy real quick. We move again to what was supposed to be Option A. We kill some monsters in Furiona Vi, but they got antsy again because there wasn't enough mobs to kill, and many of them were too high level. The thing is, it'd be faster and safer if I just soloed all the way to max level. That's how good swarm kiting is. It's way more efficient than grouping, but it's less fun. You know what really makes EQ such a special game is the drama you deal with in groups. So my goal with these videos, I want to show mostly grouping, but then there's a point where I kind of get bored of a zone. I've seen all the camps, I've done everything I want to do, and I'm just going to have to stay there for a few more levels. That part just sucks. That's probably when I'll solo so I can move on to the next zone. But, oh boy, we're going to get some drama real soon in this group. The group decides to move again, but to the most dangerous zone I've ever seen. Great idea for a permadeath stream, right? This zone is so difficult that nobody ever uses it. You get a big experience bonus for being here, but that's not good enough. So we got a problem again. I need to get to the Warslicks Woods from the Swamp of No Hope zone line in Furiona Vi. Option A, I can run through Furiona Vi, risking getting caught by this Froglock Shaman to get to Lake of Ill Omen, and then from there it's easy. It's a long run though. Option B, pushing my luck. Zone into Swamp of No Hope, go through Kill on Sight Cabalus again, except I have to go through a lot more Cabalus this time to eventually end up in the Warslicks Woods. Let's do option B again. Heck yeah. The run through Swamp of No Hope is terrifying. Bad line of sight, bodies of water everywhere that makes it hard to run away, pathing monsters of great danger. EverQuest loves to have these, in quotations, low-level zones that have wandering, high-level monsters that can one-shot you. I'm talking about you North Corona Griffins. There's a gypsy camp you can bind at, and there's these high-level mobs that just love to constantly go right through it. The danger is ever-present. I get to Cabalist and hope, again, nothing sees invis, but I have more to go here. Again, guys, there's no maps. You gotta figure out how to get from point A to point B on your own. I got 30 people watching me live on stream, pulling over on the side of the road, opening up the road atlas and asking for direction. You know, finger crossed and going the right way. So what you see me doing is conning everything to make sure I'm still indifferent. It'll tell me if a guard sees through the invis, but I can't check every corner before taking it. So I reach the zone line to the other side of Cabalus, and then this happens.
Oh no, oh no. Here we go. I'm in the water, I don't know how to get up, and there's everything wants to kill me. How are we? Okay. Okay. So I think we have to go north to get to Warslicks Woods. We're going northwest.
Then this part is what concerned me the most.
Where?
I am right next to the Necro Guild. There has to be stuff that can see invis.
Okay. Please nothing see me. Please nothing see me. Please nothing see me. Okay, oh my god. Yeah, because the Necro Guild should be able to see me. Oh, northwest. I'm still good. I'm still good. Okay, I'm good there. These two can't see. Okay, I'm probably fine. Holy smokes. We are in Warslicks Woods. We made it through. Man, these guys tested me twice. Oh crap, oh crap. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. I got aggroed as soon as I came in. Let's try the other way. The baby's feeling the tension. Please no die. Okay, I'm good so far. That guy aggroed. Indifferent.
So I get through. Warslicks Woods is another terrible zone. Dark, even hillier, with random wanderers. So I run all the way to the other side of the zone and make it to Dalnir. Nobody goes here, for a good reason.
This should be Dalnir right here. Holy smokes. We made it.
I don't even bother pulling, because everything is 5 to 10 levels higher than me. Every lull will get resisted and me killed. It's a long way back. And another problem with Dalnir is there's no way out. If you go too far, the only way out is through. You can't go back. I'm going to fast forward to the drama. Level Up Larry predicted what was going to happen. Our puller got a mage rooted him, then nuked him to death.
Oh, Jockum died.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Ghost Dads, what's up? Welcome to the stream. You just say tonight that you wish people would do down here. Well, here we are. We're in down here. Oh man. And we had a death. Jocker he's not permadeath. He is part of the optional. But a bet is a bet is a bet, y'all. And you can blame Jock. Will someone die in Dalnir? The answer is yes.
And it gets even better. Half an hour later, I had to step away to feed my crying baby, and this was a disaster.
All right, we have a necromancer here, or Shadow Knight. I'm assuming it's a necro since it did the harm touch.
It flees at low health, and then this happens.
Is it dead? Oh! Zone! If you're still in the zone, you're gonna be dead. You're gonna be dead. What happened? The mob glitched. The mob glitched through the floor. All right, we got Tars, we got Ayonic, we got Syriax, we got Messy Necro. Okay, we got everybody. Everybody's accounted for. This entrance areas can get real funky because these mobs can glitch down to the second floor and then pull all these Sarnacs up, and that's what just happened. Once you see a Sarnac at zone in, it's you go. Look at that. Ionic just got back from putting his baby in the crib. What timing.
We also get revenge. We move up and pull the same mage that killed Jockum a few minutes ago. It was a fight. It AoE nuked the crap out of us. Playing it close with permadeath challenge, you know. I changed songs mid-fight for resists. We beat the guy, and the stream ended not long after. I stopped playing again for months. I got my binge of EQ2, I played its remake of The Plane of Sky, and The Continent of Fadewar being rediscovered, 2 separate expansions. A lot of fun. Now, speaking of Fadewar, we're gonna go there real soon. The Estate of Unrest. Can't wait to show you guys the EQ2 version of the zone. The first night I go here, I get into a group at a camp called Fireplace. It's on the 2nd level of this haunted mansion. Really solid group, one of the best ones I had over the few days I played here. Unfortunately, I barely got to enjoy it. So I got to 25 here, and I end up taking over pulling, and I pulled something I shouldn't have. I'm so used to the easier versions of this game that I forgot to respect how difficult P99 is. I pulled this named ghoul called the Priest of Nagina and thought nothing of it. Until, BAM! Half of my health is gone to 1 nuke. This mob is at least 5 levels higher than me. If a mob cons red to you, it means business in P99. 2 nukes happen. I'm at 5% health and quickly get dropped. Welcome back, rookie. We had a cleric in the group, so I don't need to run all the way back, right? I waited a few minutes for a res from them, and then, clerics don't get their first res until level 29, and our cleric was in their low 20s. Damn. Fortunately, a pally nearby. He was trying to get some drop for the Ghoulbane quest. He rezzed me, but it was a 0% res, so I lost all that experience for nothing. A bit later, we be stretched to the limits again. I go to pull a mob upstairs and unintentionally get an ad from the adjacent room, which is no big deal, yeah? Then a respawn happens in camp. 2 extra. Okay, my mez is AoE, so no big deal. Then 2 more mobs come out of nowhere. 4 extra. Here we go. I'm playing this AoE mez over and over because it only lasts 6 seconds and it gets resisted all the time. And it turns into a huge problem. You see that each time I cast it, it builds a lot of aggro on these mobs, and tanks at this low level can barely hold aggro, let alone rip things off of you. So my squishy self is taking all the beating and getting interrupted constantly while I'm trying to refresh mez. I fall lower and lower on health. It's getting serious. If the healers don't keep me alive, we're gonna wipe when the mez breaks. Fortunately, we were able to pull through at the end. I just love how crowd control works in this game. It's such a dramatic feature, and I'm sad to see it missing in later MMOs. The group goes on for a while. I get about halfway through level 25, and I call it there. Next day doesn't go so well. I pick up again in Unrest on a Saturday. It was weird. It's prime time hours, and we could barely find anybody to group with, but we made do. Shout out to Wacky Ports here. He was streaming on Twitch all Saturday while here. It first started out with me pulling. We had a ranger tank and a druid healer. Ranger did an excellent job of holding aggro off me. This snare slow song I'm using is a big aggro generator, but it's just too good not to use. The debuff on it makes the mobs swing slower, so a tank will take less damage, thus a healer can save mana. They don't need to heal as much. So I killed my first named here in Unrest, the Undead Barkeep, and he dropped a really nice charisma earring. That's the stat that helps out my charms and mezzes and lulls work much better. Should help me get less resists when I use them, but that's going to be a problem real soon. The druid helped me split the barkeep room just up the stairs. The problem here is if I tag a mob from this room, everything will aggro and will die. So my job is to use lulls so I can bring 1 mob at a time. Lulls, what they do, they lower the awareness of a mob so they don't join the fight when you pull their buddy that's standing right next to them. But I didn't know this about druids. So the problem with Bard lull is it can get critically resisted. That'll aggro the mob and then all the buddies nearby will come at you. And this is especially bad if you're lower level than the mobs you're trying to lull. It's even more likely for that resist to occur. And the Barkeep room has like 6 to 7 mobs in it that are all much higher than me. So it was too dangerous for me to even think about pulling this room. But druids also have a lull with a twist. It can't be resisted. I did not know that. I think it's called Harmony. It's an AoE lull that can only be used in outdoor zones. Yeah, this is an outdoor zone, even though it doesn't look like it. The druid casted Harmony, and I easily pulled singles out of the room. The group changed a bit over time. Our ranger left. We got an enchanter to bite us through. Charm pets by enchanters are pretty strong, but it struggled to keep aggro off me. Eventually we get another ranger to come in to tank and a second druid, and it goes well until I get EverQuested. I made a bad mistake here. I go to pull a mob from this upper room, and I thought they're just run-of-the-mill skeletons. But nope. They were big red cons, so I get a critical low resist, and then everything aggros. 3 mobs start beating on me. I get an AoE mez cast off, but it doesn't work because 2 of them are red cons. Just get resisted. And then, great timing, Enchanter Charm knows right when to break. Breaks right around this time. So I end up taking a dirt nap. Nothing the healers could have done. 10% experience lost, maybe 15 to 20 minutes of work. No res, so to add insult to injury, another 10 plus minutes wasted in the long run back. Dagnor's Cauldron in the dark, but it goes without incident. I get my corpse back, all good. We kill the second named I've seen in Unrest, the Reclusive Ghoul Magi. Not too bad. He dropped gloves that had some plus mana stat on them for mage classes. Maybe an hour into it, we finally have a full group. A rogue filled up that last spot, but it wouldn't last long. I think the tank rage quit after this. So my good old buddy, Priest of Gina, spawned again. I knew better than to pull him myself. I learned this time. I had the tank pull it. He just gets wrecked. We can barely damage it before the healers burn out all their mana, and we just have to run for our lives. Train to the exit. Everybody gets out, except for the backup druid who dies right at the finish line. Oh, horrible luck. Then the tank just drops from the group without a word. So we eventually recover, but couldn't find anybody to tank, and I end up tanking, kinda. We get a third druid, and I'm using the snare slow slung to sort of hold aggro. It really reduced how quickly my health dropped. I was getting hit really hard each swing, but the swings were slower, so it was more manageable. We get those redcon skellies to spawn again upstairs, so the druid harmonies to help me split it apart, and then we crush it without a tank. We kill both of those redcons, actually. So this unoptimal group somehow goes okay. I get to 99% experience. I am 1 kill away from the next level, and I get screwed so hard. I get help with Druid Harmony to split open the barkeep room. The barkeep is up. Sweet, maybe I can get another charisma earring, you know? I pull this werebat alone, but wandering on the stairs right behind us is a redcon zombie. And I'm trying to mez this werebat while the group focuses on the zombie, and she obliterates me with nukes. And both mobs just keep resisting mez and dead again. Another 10% experience lost. I lost 20% experience in one day. Over an hour's worth of grinding lost for nothing. In fact, I almost made no progress at all this day. Level Up Larry, if you're watching, you are crazy for playing this game permadeath. You die for the stupidest reasons. Why is this game so hard? I pick back up the next day in Unrest, and it goes so much better. I quickly get a group in the highest level camp and zone, the basement. Crazy good DPS we got here with 2 rogues, and I meet up again with Wacky Ports, and he happened to be streaming again on Twitch. I finally get that level 26 ding that had been such a problem the day before. 26 gives me an AoE fear. It's a really useful song. You're soloing caster mobs. A while later, I see Garano Ruxif, the last name mob of the zone, this ghost dwarf. He can drop some strength rings and some really nice boots. He spawned twice while I was here, and I only saw the strength rings. This camp has some of the nastiest mobs in zone. You have mortuary funguses, which cast an AoE slow that makes all melee classes just suck. They also like to flee into their buddies, so you gotta snare them at low health. You have these tentacle terrors, which have one of the coolest models in game, I think. I love their model. They can proc a knockback that kicks you halfway across the frickin' room, so it's best to put your back against a wall so you don't get thrown into another mob. They also flee at low health, I think, so you gotta snare them too. And the worst, my nightmare the other day, the Festering Hags. They are these higher level wizards that will root you before you get back to camp, and they will shred you with huge nukes. Anytime a hag was pulled, Our DPS always focused on them first. I swapped up my song twist a bit. I played a resist song just to mitigate the nuke damage a bit. It did seem to help. I eventually get to level 27. Strangely, no incident. 27 is where bards see a huge power boost. You get a charm song that can take over enemies to fight on your side for around 18 seconds. And it costs no mana. It's really strong DPS and great crowd control. Great in groups and great for soloing. You know, I felt power once when I got to charm one of those festering hags to nuke a tentacle terror to death. It's amazing. I did a test stream really late at night with these same guys, and that's why the video quality of this part isn't as good. It went smooth for the most part, but there were a few hiccups. We had 3 mobs randomly aggro us from behind, and I tried my best to mez, but it didn't work out so well.
Oh, whoa. Uh-oh, I'm probably gonna go down here. I would not be surprised if I go down. Come on, please heal me, please. Oh well.
Long run back, 6 minutes, but the stream got some attention from some of my fans, and some nice people came by to help out.
I did not know.
Strude gave us some buffs, big hit point buffs, and a dwarf cleric came by to give those of us who died a 96% res. I finally got one of those 10% EXP losses back. About time. Thank you guys so much for the help. I might need to stream more often, as it looks like. A while later, I finally get to level 28. I can finally replace this junk mez I've been using with a much better one. Towards the end of the night, I get antsy and I start to pull a bit, but I really shouldn't have. I take this final death as a cue to, it's time to log off. So I think after so many deaths here, I lost around half a level's worth of experience, arguably 4 to 5 hours of grinding for nothing. The experience loss is one of the worst features of old school EQ. I want to show you another way the game is punishing. Coin has weight. So if you have too much coin, you can get encumbered, you'll run slower, and your defense goes down. You can even die from falling. If you're encumbered and take fall damage, it gets magnified or something. So there's a trick to managing it. I ran out of unrest to go to the center island of Dagnor's Cauldron, where there's this merchant who sells rogue poison ingredients. What you can do to cut down on coin weight is vendor arbitrage. So I bought these 5 gold suspensions to get rid of all the excess change in my inventory, the copper, the silver, the gold. I was able to sell the suspensions for just a 2 silver loss each. So I'm losing a small bit of money, but it's to reduce my weight down by 10 pounds by consolidating all that chump change into platinum. An opportunity presented itself, and I had to strike fast. I saw one of the most popular EQ streamers in Lower Guck one night, Barthorn. Does these solo-only self-found series, and he was leveling up a cleric and camping some rare drop. In the future, I'd like to solo in the Over There, but there's a big problem with it. The banks and the vendors there in the Over There are evil alliance, and I'm good alliance. But there's a way to fix that. I asked Barthorn if he could help me get that fix, so I got a port down to South Row, and I ran into Guck. Terrible dungeon to navigate without a map, so I had to get to him by experience. Learned it by pulling here years ago on Mangler. Then I hit a brick wall once I got into Lower Guck. There was a plan though. Most of Lower Guck is undead and can see through my Invis song. Fortunately, the first part of the zone was cleared, but I went down the wrong path eventually and aggroed some mobs. Ate a death here, really nasty death. Intentionally. All I had to do was get as close to him as possible. He threw on his Invis to undead spell, pulled my corpse to a safe spot, and rezzed me back. All according to plan. A few minutes later, I got what I came for. Thank you so much, Barthorn. The Ghoul Assassin spawned and dropped a very special mask that every EQ player knows. The Dark Elf Illusion Mask. That will solve my faction issue when I'm trying to sell stuff in the over there later. Barthorn gave me an Invis versus Undead, and I was able to safely get out of Guck with the item I wanted, home free. Thank you so much, man. Next order of business was to go to a secret soloing spot I found years ago on P99 Blue, but that'll be for another day. Thank you so much for watching. Please make it. Please make it. I've never seen this glitch before. Oh crap, they're permadeath characters. So I just got to level 28 in Unrest, and I'm tired of that zone. So it's time to check out one of my favorite secret spots back in the day. So this is the first place you hit Novelius continent. The islands here are called the Icy Fingers because it kind of looks like it on the map. Ice-clad ocean. I'm here for 2.5 reasons. A gnome vendor here sells the most important song I'll need for grouping, and this has one of my favorite soloing spots ever. On one of the islands is a popular dungeon called the Tower of Frozen Shadow, and just outside are these frozen, swirling dervish mobs. They're these level 30-something monks. You can swarm them with ease just outside the tower, so it took about 2 pulls per level. Not a lot of loot, unfortunately, just experience, but why I like this spot, it's one of the closest swarm spots to the city of Freeport, unlike all the Kunark zones that are the more popular to use. But the boat ride here takes forever. But that gets fixed at level 31 when I get the levitate song. So instead of waiting for boats anymore, I just twist silos and levitate to quickly traverse these large bodies of water in the game, like here in Iceclad or say Timorous Deep. It saves a lot of time, like 40 minutes of waiting here in Iceclad, that much. The only thing that sucks is the levitate song requires a wind instrument equipped to play. I have to constantly swap between drums and a wind instrument back and forth the whole entire way just to do this. I got to level 34 rather quickly. I died once to lagging out, but really smooth otherwise. It's time to leave, but there's one last thing to do. So as I left, I bought some toolboxes from the gnome vendors. These are the largest containers in game, I think. These are the best containers to put into your bank slots. So I ran into the Freeport Bank, and toolboxes freed up a lot more space for my junk. I was planning to go to the most dangerous dungeon on Fadeward just behind Kedge Keep, but something unique to this game stopped me. You'll often group with the same people over and over. So Weetulo, the warrior, and his friend Firedees, the druid. I grouped with these guys a few times prior in Unrest, and they were killing it. So I was running one late night to find camp in Kelethin when they caught me, and they asked me to join them. You know, normally I'd turn it down, it's bad time, but I knew these guys, they're good players, so what the heck, let's do it. It's a double-edged sword of this game. You build a reputation. If you're nice or rude, if you're a good or bad player, people will remember. And I love that part of this game. There's times where you'll be randomly asked or even begged to join a group just because they know you. They know how good you are. But more than anything else, getting levels, getting items I worked forever to get, the most satisfying feeling I get playing this game is just how bad people want me in their groups. Let me know in the comments if you felt that playing EQ. Like, I've never got that feeling playing other MMOs. As dumb as it is, you can feel important in this 24-year-old video game, and that's why I also like the Bard class so much. It has a really high ceiling. Like, a group will feel a huge difference between a good Bard versus a mediocre Bard versus not having one at all. It's also amazing how a few levels make a huge difference in difficulty. So this camp went from being like grinding rocks at 28 to being a breeze at 34. I cheated. So from the last video, you remember how nasty these festering hags are? They like to wreck you with the high damage nukes. So now that I'm higher level, I don't get resisted as much, so this works. This mob is a piece of cake if it can't cast on you. So pro bards will spam Mez over and over, Mez locking the mob. So whenever this hag tries to cast a nuke, my Mez will interrupt it just before it completes. So this mob's biggest weapon is completely neutralized by how I use the bard's toolkit. I get to level 35 here, we just crushed it. And then the next group I joined abuses one of the most difficult dungeons in game. Castle Mistmoor is the stronghold of an ancient dark elf vampire, Mayong Mistmoor, and his throngs of followers. Keep Mayong in the back of your head, we'll revisit him soon. The castle itself is a labyrinthian death trap of corridors and secret areas. This zone is challenging because of its high density mobs and casters, notably enchanters that will charm you to fight your own group, like what happened to Reptox years ago. This is a popular zone from the 20s to late 30s, so I get a group at the highest level camp called Castle Entrance, or abbreviated CE. I'm here for the two most important pieces of gear that a bard needs, but it's time to show off that super powerful song I went all the way to Iceglad to buy. Level 34 is where bards get the first combined hit point and mana regen song, Cantana of Soothing, only sold in Iceglad. You combine it with another mana regen song you get at level 32 called Cassindra's Chorus of Clarity, and with these two types of songs, bards can pump out the most mana pound for pound in the game because of a quirk of P99. The Cantana song is nothing special, it's just a passive boost to mana regen over 18 seconds. But the level 32 Cassindra song is completely different. It's not an 18-second buff, it's a pulse. So every time you cast it, it immediately restores some mana. So generally, you can play 4 songs at a time. What you do to maximize mana regen is you'll play the passive Cantana buff, and then do 3 pulses of Cassindra's. When you do this, casters love you. More nukes, more heals, less downtime. Groups almost never take breaks with the bard actively pumping mana. So sorry if I'm getting too much in the weeds, but understanding the game's mechanics is everything. Game-changing at times. There's ways you can turn guaranteed death into easy victories just from knowing your class's quirks. You'll see me do one of the most crazy things a bard can do coming up later. So this group consisted of myself, shaman, ranger, mage, warrior, and enchanter. Really strong setup. I changed up my usual songs for the spot, so every mob tries to flee into friends at low health, so I really had to play snare, and I also twisted in some resists for the casters. There's a lot of casters in this zone. You really don't want to get charmed, mezzed, or nuked here, so it seemed to help. The enchanter got ballsy though. He told the ranger to start pulling whole rooms, so anywhere from 3 to 5 mobs would hit us in camp. The enchanter would throw out an AoE mez, and then we beat it down over and over. Enchanters are the strongest class in game, man. This zone is supposed to be hard, but these guys are making a mockery of it. I helped out by doing spot mezzes when repops happened at camp or the enchanter's charm broke. It's really hard for an enchanter to cast things when they're getting beat up. Made many an enchanter friend because of how quick I am on mez. Really good money here. The mobs drop bronze armor and fine steel weapons that sold for a few plat, but the best were the gargoyles. They dropped these stackable eyes that went for 9 plat a pop. So I went from like 100 plat in my bank to 300 plus after this one group. That goes a long way for buying new songs. So I got really lucky. The whole reason I came to this specific zone and this specific camp was for 2 items. The gypsies and werewolves deeper in the castle can drop a better drum and loot than what I had. The most important instruments a bard needs. So Robe, the tank, happened to have them on her, and she was so generous to give them to me. It saved me hours of grinding here, so thank you so much, Robe. And when I put the drum on and I played the bard speed, huge boost in speed. Huge boost in speed compared to the old drum. Amazing. The next group was painful. I saw Weetsulo on and decided to swing by Nagafin's lair called Solasec B. It's a zone good for the 40s to low 50s. It has one of the end bosses for classic EverQuest, Nagafin, Red Dragon. I beat him on the Yelenak series I did. This group was a warrior, a rogue, and not one, not two, but 3 druids. And you know how I feel about them if you've been watching this P99 series. One of the druids redeems himself though. So I saw something I thought you couldn't do. These shaman kobolds, they'll summon a wolf pet. And I played on live EQ for so long, I don't think you can charm a monster's pet. But I learned something new. Druids have an animal charm, and they're able to steal the kobold's pet and use it as their own. Not a strong pet per se, but I think you can consider it a free dot. It's free damage. Now let's get to the pain. So it's really easy for pulls to go bad here. We too low accidentally pulled the whole room. No way we could take it, so choo-choo train! Unfortunately, we were set up right next to the exit, so we got a quick escape out, but not the last. A little bit later, I tried to help We2O split that same room. Lol just does not work well here on P99, so everything gets pulled again. I was able to lull 1, fortunately, so only 3 mobs came. I mezzed the extras while the group took down 1 at a time. You know, really good recovery, really good recovery. I go to pull the last mob out of the room, and We2Low just grazes past a hidden wall and pulls 3 from that area too, so we have 4, and we're still tapped in the last fight, so we just book it. Farther this time to the exit, and it's confusing as hell to get out, so I think Firede's We2Low's druid friend dies in the escape. The next train was a nail biter, so we work our way back to the same spot, same damn mobs aggros through the hidden wall, and I'm running for my life. I keep getting stunned on the run out. And then watch this. 0% health. 5 steps from the exit. I'm stunned. 1 baby hit and I'm dead. Clutch heal comes in from no touchy and I get out. Damn, that was way too close. You get a druid pass, my friend. Wow. A bit later, we see a name that was up nearby, so we work towards it. Kobold Noble. 3 mob pull here, goes fine with Bard Mez, drops some weird negative charisma skull staff, but the pulls don't get better. Each one is 3 to 4 mobs. We've had 3 trains so far, so with all the repeated failure, it was time to try something different. I do the most rare Bard technique you'll ever see on video. I load up a song called Lissa's Solidarity of Vision. Took hours of running and boat rides, combined with a lot of money to get this. And this is the first time I'm going to use it since I bought it months ago. What does it do? Bind sight. I can look through the eyes of whoever I cast it on. Did I waste my time and money getting this stupid song? I started looking through the rogue's eyes. This room has 4 mobs in it. So what? You can see them. How's that going to help? I targeted the 3 low-level kobolds, and I was able to lull them while sitting rooms away. Rogue was able to pull just 1 out of a room of 4, the safest pull of the whole night. Only a handful of bards know you can even do this. So you can bind sight to safely see what's in a room that's far away, and then lull has a quirk where it doesn't require line of sight. So you can cast it from anywhere and safely split apart a room while you're not even close. So you can see it in action. I looked through the rogue's eyes, lull to the kobolds, she pulled. Now, unfortunately, lull landed here, but it doesn't work when the mobs are basically on top of each other. Lull reduces the aggro radius of mobs so they don't assist their buddies, but the kobolds were so close it wouldn't work. But still, only 2 is easy. The biggest part of playing Bard is knowing what your songs do and how you can string them together. And this is one of those rare examples where a bard can show off deep knowledge of their spellbook and game mechanics. I really love showing off like this. Unfortunately though, P99 is terrible for bard lulls. I use the same technique, but all these mobs are redcons, and lull was just getting resisted over and over. These mobs are also standing too close to each other. Pull happens, all 4 come. We get through it amazingly. You know, we had 3 charmed wolf pets, but later our bane, the hidden wall room, everything aggroes from it. Tank goes down, rogue goes down, I go down. I think everyone wipes actually. But the rogue had a cleric ult with epic, so I was able to get all that experience back. First death of the video. I think the rogue and druid who saved me had to leave group, so we got an enchanter and monk replacement. The monk was really lucky to get a kill on Targan the Rock. It drops a part for the monk epic. Another name spawned called the Kobold Priest. 3 pull here, but went okay. I charmed out to help with extra DPS, and it dropped a really nice shoulder item that I got to take home for an upgrade. Group finished the night camping at the royal spot. A lot smoother. Really good group once we got past all the drama. Alright, let's take a breather for a moment. I want to show a funny story I saw. I'm a urologist. Men have been peeing the wrong way. Here's why you should teach your boys to pee sitting down. Really? The best comment I saw. I always pee sitting down because I'm not allowed to lift anything heavy. Perfect. Okay, back to the video. I did some swarms again in Iceglad to finish level 35, and I saw there were some people in the tower, so I hit them up, and they had room for me. One of the craziest things I've ever seen happen went down here. Now, remember Maelong Mistmord's castle? This tower is also his creation. The Tower of Frozen Shadow was intended to be the beachhead for Maelong Mistmord's influence in Velius. Vampire acolytes, the undead, and abominations fill all 7 floors. Each floor requires a key to move up. The tower was the home to the intended wife of Maelong, Serena Siltor, a renowned practitioner of the dark arts in Neriak. In preparation to wed Maelong, she accepted his vampiric curse. However, it had unexpected consequences. Wings sprouted from her back, and her appearance grew hideous. Not only did Maelong abandon her, he imprisoned her here in the tower. In her insane rage, she has cursed all living within. I got help from this dwarf paladin. He gave me Invis versus Undead, and then used his key to get me up to the 2nd floor where the group was. The 2nd floor is a library with undead soldiers from the Erudite Civil War that ripped apart Otis and created the whole. So we had 2 paladins, a cleric, necro, and enchanter. This is a really great place for undead nukes. The group had been here for hours trying to get the named key holder spawned. They wanted to move up to floor 3. Now, Bard's really useful here because all these erudites are casters, particularly enchanters that like to mez and charm players. So Bard magic resist is very helpful. I had to group here when I saw people inside because this is one of the coolest but rarely used dungeons in-game. By the time Velius rolls out, people are already at max level, so they never really use the lower level dungeons that the expansion offered. And they were some really cool dungeons. Tower of Frozen Shadow and Crystal Caverns, it's kind of sad they're barely used. A bit later, the cleric had to go, so we got Achu, the druid, to replace him on heals. I grouped with him the other day in Sol B. The enchanter was charming to help out with DPS, and he ended up getting charmed himself. Wow. So I had to keep his pet mezzed while he was MIA. It shows players as LD or Link Dead when they get charmed or mezzed, so you can see him pathing towards his owner. The craziest thing I saw the whole night, I've never seen this before. I don't know what happened, but the ghostly scholar here is an enchanter, and I think it charmed the Necro's skeleton pet. Then fast forward a bit, the charm breaks, and the skeleton pet becomes hostile. I keep it mezzed in the meantime to think, what should we do? I've never seen someone's pet get stolen from them. Maybe the Necro could take it back somehow by charming it, and then it would permanently be his pet, but no, it's not how it works, so I charm it. I'm a bard with the Necro's pet. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in EQ. So the skelly pet became hostile again after charm broke, so we had to kill it, and it gave experience. You could get your pet charmed and then kill it to farm experience. So the moral of this camp, charm or be charmed here. The game gets real wonky when NPCs charm. I get most of the way through level 36 here. Group went on for a long time but got tired of waiting for the key mob to spawn. Strangely enough, just as we're about to leave, it friggin' spawns. The Angry Librarian. Key to floor 3. But the group ends after that. We click on this mirror to exit out. Memorial Day. I saved Level Up Larry. The Memorial Day weekend started and the server had a 50% bonus to experience. The server was popping with players. It's normally 1,000 online, it went up to 1,500 to 2,000. Groups and soloers everywhere. I saw I was falling behind Level Up Larry and we too low in levels. I still wanted to group with them, so I need to catch up. I swarmed from 36 to 40 outside the tower, about 2 to 3 pulls per level. Nice with the experience bonus, a lot quicker than usual. The next day I tested out swarming in the main spots on Kunark. First stop was Furion of I. I pulled Drovargs to the Swamp and No Hope clearing. You can get some really big pulls here, but you gotta be careful of those Froglock Shaman I warned about last episode. A lot of green con mobs though, so it's better for lower levels than what I was. I still got 40% of the way in. And something really bothered me in a weird way. There was this person asking for help in the zone. They didn't know where to find their corpse in the Dreadlands, next zone over. So I tell them, okay, sure, I'll help you. But then I do a /who on them. They're level 45 Bard. I'm confused. I asked them, don't you have the level 4 song? No, what's that? For those of you who don't know, the 4th song you ever get as a Bard is a corpse finder. It's sold at every Bard guild on the entire world for pennies. How are you level 45 and you don't have it? Something is just off. Whatever, you know, it could be a new player or something, so gotta start somewhere. So I help them out anyways. I find their corpse easy and pull it to a safe spot. Mission accomplished. A bit later, they find out who I am and start asking for swarm advice about everything. Questions upon questions, and I help them out, of course, but then I think I rubbed them the wrong way at the end. Went silent to the very last thing I said to them. Roughly, hey, I get you really want to swarm. It's really cool and all that you can solo all the way to max level, but make sure you group too. Dead air. No response. Like, I hope I wasn't being rude. You know, I might come off as a hypocrite because I'm swarming right here, but it's not all I do. Bards have a bad reputation overall on P99 because many of them only solo. They swarm all the way to max level, and on top of that, some going so far as to take all the mobs away from legit groups in the area. It's max level, time to group now, right? So they do. They play terrible. Just AFK Bard sitting in the corner with one song going. Supposed to be playing 4, bud. No crowd control, no mana pumping, just one song, wasting that group spot. You know, when you get near max level, it's kinda expected to know how to play your damn class, but if you solo the whole way, you have no idea what you're doing. And that's many bards in the server, so moral, I hope that person doesn't just solo. What you can do in groups as a bard is even more amazing and fun. But what I will say is that the bad bards in the server make the good ones like me shine even brighter. I'll take it. I'll take that praise. I like there's a skill curve. You get to show off. I test out the next most popular spot, the Over There. Pulled a bunch of cacti and chickens to the outside the fort. Another punishing feature of the game are called hell levels. So generally every 5 levels starting at 30, I think. It takes like double the experience to level. In the 50s, you even get to double hell levels upon that. So like 4 times the experience required. So going from like 40 to 41 is going to be a lot slower than going from 41 to 42. Swarms make quick work of it though. And then Barthorn's help that last episode pays off huge. So the Dark Elf Mask gives me the best night vision in game. That helps with these dark zones. But it also changes my faction. So normally I'm killing sight here at this evil outpost, but with the Dark Elf Illusion, I'm able to sell and bank at this place that should be hostile. I should be killing sight at it. And it saved me a huge amount of trouble too. There's a quest I needed to do, and I thought it was going to be a lot harder. There's an NPC called the Undead Foreman, who if you give him a Jade Gem, he'll give you a special hammer called the Over There Hammer. It can proc an instant port to the wooden ships nearby. It's a quick way to get to Kunark. It's really important for melees to get this item because it's one of the only infinite charged ways to port out of dungeons with no real exit. The problem with this quest is you need amiable faction. Almost nobody has it. But with Dark Elf Illusion and the Bard faction boosting song, I was able to get there. Turn in the Jade and done. Normally you have to charm the guy, and that is something in of itself. So the Dark Elf Mask saved me a lot of trouble. Let's just put it that way. I swarmed to level 42 in the over there, then checked out the Dreadlands. So you pull all the Drovargs and chickens around Carnor's castle, then you kite it in the clearing near the Burning Wood zone line. Got to 43 with this one. This pull got me to 44. I'm finally the same level as Level Up Larry and Syriax. So the main kiting spot was taken, so I had to use this icy patch where fewer mobs path. You want a spot that's relatively flat with few trees and obstacles and no pathers, no pathing mobs. So I had to improvise with this location. As I was finishing that swarm up, Level Up Larry started up a stream and started EXPing in the Dreadlands. But this goes wrong for them real quick.
I think the only thing you gotta watch out for, Benefect, are gonna be the Draconids. Oh gosh, what is it? Oh my god, where does this come from? LOS that. Rooted. No, it's not. It's resisting everything. Yo, this dude's nasty. I got like one heal in me. This is already getting really interesting right at the beginning. Ion Blaze is here though. I have no mana. Matter of fact, I have no mana. Get that gate potion ready. I have 39%. Matter of fact, I have 34%. Both permadeath characters. We got some fear kite action. Good save. That's going in the video. How I saved 2 level 44 hardcore characters. Yep, that's the YouTube video right there. We're just producing content for Ion Blaze over here.
So I got to group with them for a while and got most of the way through level 44. My favorite part was trolling them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's possible if I do viewport. Whoa, what the heck? Wait, what was that? Hold up, what was that? I need to review the tapes here. I was just sitting here. Hey, I moved. Did y'all see that?
I know a way to troll these guys. Let's do this. I'm gonna mess with them. Watch this, they're gonna warp around.
They're freaking out.
Was that Bard? Was that a Bard thing?
Oh, they might know me. They might notice me. They think it's me. I'm just gonna say it's lag.
No, not lag. Ion Blaze, are you shadow stepping us?
Okay, I'm gonna troll him.
Oh, you should be ashamed of yourself, Ion Blaze.
Level Up Larry gets some really sweet shots here. The group went real smooth. And once the group ended, I did a tiny swarm to get to 45. But that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I did 3 of the worst grinds in Classic EverQuest, and I can't believe what happened. I just got to level 45 in the Dreadlands after grouping with Level Up Larry, and my goal over the next few days is to get to level 51 so I can get started on something I would not enjoy doing. I do one of the biggest swarms to date in the Dreadlands to help me power through the hell level that is 45. For most players, this level takes forever, but Bard soloing is really powerful. I get to 98%. Then an opportunity happened I couldn't pass up. This is the city of Mist, or Torsus, a major Ixar city that fell to ruin over time. Level Up Larry started his stream and I joined him. We set up camp at a spot called Stables, just around the corner from the entrance. Group went smooth, and I got to 46, out of hell level finally. I used to be behind levels compared to Level Up Larry and Syriax, but I finally outpassed him. The next day, I get a group at the most popular camp in City of Mist. It's called Moat. Right outside this giant building with nasty mobs inside, there's a bunch of spawns nearby to pull. I think we had someone role-playing. It's really rare to see. Like, Rimrock does that, but the tank here also was role-playing as her barbarian self. These short, guttural answers. It's kind of cool. Our enchanter was just on the ball with crowd control and DPSing with his charm pet. It felt kind of useless. But later on, I messed up bad. So we ran out of easy stuff to kill, so our monks started to pull the danger stuff in the building. The group moved around the corner to protect us if the pull went ugly. It goes okay until I make one mistake, and this is all I see. Black screen. So I accidentally tagged the monk with a bard song. The pack aggroed onto me. One of them was a shaman, blinded me, then I died without even seeing what the heck happened. Went from basically being the next level to 77% experience in a single death. Hours worth of play. The experience loss is brutal as you get higher level. Fortunately, the tank logged over to the cleric and gave me a 96% res, so I got all that experience back. Thank you so much. Got that level 47 ding, and then I found this funny exploit you can do. We lost our tank and had no one who could snap aggro. I had a hard time letting go of aggro because I was snaring, slowing, and mezzing. So I noticed you could play with a mob. Like if you step off this platform into the moat, the mob is programmed that has to go the complete other way around to get you. It's kind of silly. Oh, I'm gonna get you. Where'd you go? I'm gonna get you. Where'd you go? It's like stupid cat and mouse game. It looks dumb, but no one took damage when I did this. So who needs a tank, you know? And I also liked how you could slowly bring a mob to camp as the current one's nearly dead. So I'd see a repop across the pond, tag it with a snare. With the snare, it was forced to take its sweet old time to get to camp. I mean, you almost didn't even need mezzing or roots here if you had a snare and levitate. I really love that quirk about this camp. It was time. A big part of the game is the social aspect of it. It was time to join a guild, and I can't believe who invited me. Rimrock. Yeah, the guy who made the banded armor for me months ago. I'm still wearing now in this video. Since then, he got his Shadow Knight epic. So congratulations on that sweet looking weapon. And when he did it, GMs came in and then ogre bombed everyone, illusioned them. So I'm swarming again. Diablo 4 launched right around this time, and then everybody stopped playing P99 or something. The next few days, I just couldn't find any groups online during primetime hours on the weekend. That's how bad it was. So my only choice was to Storm. So I get to 48 here, nice level for Swarm Kiting because you get another AoE dot song. And then the next day, my jaw dropped from what happened. I had a hard time accepting it. I pulled another big swarm in the Dreadlands. And there was this druid who was running by who happened to be a guildie, and he helped me burn down the last few stragglers. He saw me in banded armor, and he had this bard alt that was just decked out in gear, but he never really played it. So he offered to give me all that stuff, because he wasn't using it. I couldn't accept it at first. What he was going to give me was just too much, you know, but I was okay with it if he was willing to take all the money I had as some sort of compensation. It was around 1,000 plat or something. Took all these levels to save that much up. And he ended up giving me almost a full set of lambent armor. This is a huge boost for my survivability and stats, and I look really cool now. I gave him that 1,000 plat, and he ported me back to the Dreadlands. And I'd later do a swarm that would take me to level 49, but man, thank you so much for that gift. That was really kind of you, man. Really kind. I logged on the next day. Diablo 4, no groups again, so let's swarm a different zone. Burning Woods. The trick with this zone is to pull all the skellies, swafts, and gorillas you see, except for one named gorilla that is. You pull them all to this clearing in the north by the Skyfire Mountain zone line. There's this rock that you kind of run around. Levitate is huge here because it's very hilly. You also want invis up if possible, because there's a lot of wandering mobs that you don't want to aggro on mistake. It'll ruin your entire swarm. It takes like 15 to 30 minutes to gather a decent sized swarm here, so you really don't want to goof it up. Then I finally got an opportunity to group, and I couldn't believe who it was. It was on my checklist, actually. I ran myself the long distance to Velkator's Labyrinth, a Velius dungeon full of verticality and slippery floors, good for the late 40s to max level, and I got to group with the cost.
So I woke up I'm like, what the You better be.
He's playing his Cleric Fled here. He got a 7-day ban from a GM, and it just got lifted this particular day, so he fired up a big comeback stream, and I got to team up with him. The Cost, if you don't know him, is one of the biggest EQ streamers on Twitch right now, if not the biggest. I've finally grouped with and or interacted with the 3 biggest EQ streamers at the current point, being Level Up Larry, Barthorn, and then now a Cost. It's awesome. This dude can play. We killed these spiders that really didn't drop sellable loot, wasn't good for money. Experience also felt kind of slow. One thing is starting to get stressful though. So bards have really bad level caps on their earliest crowd control songs. I can only mez up to level 45, and I'm frequently going into camps where mobs are higher than that. So one of my core jobs as a crowd controller, I can't even do it. Now I'm able to charm up to 51, but it's just not sustainable. Anyways, I finally get to level 50, 10 more to max level. But I heard it explained that the experience to go from like 50 to 60 is like just as long as to go from 1 to 50. That's how grindy it gets. To finish for the night, I finally get to use the Over There hammer. It's required to be level 50 to proc it, and I just got to level 50. And the first person I use it on is a Cost. The next day was the most hectic group I've ever had so far. Just pure chaos. I was stressed out from swarm kiting, so I wanted to solo a bit safer and less dependent on lag. Charm kiting in the Dreadlands. It's a decent experience. It's basically, you pull a few mobs, you use charm to get them to fight each other, and then you finish off the mob when it's basically dead. It's a quicker way to kill a mob than using dots alone. And you don't have to worry about lag spikes killing you like with swarm kiting, because you can keep distance. Later on, I was able to group in Karnor's Castle, the dungeon right in the middle of the Dreadlands. Probably the most memorable dungeon for EQ players. I've been trying to get a group here for days, but no one was online. Again, Diablo 4, but I get a group this day, finally. The most popular camp, LCY, Left Courtyard. So I've been trying to group here for one big item, but I didn't get it for a long time. Malchus, the monk, does an excellent job pulling here, but we have a huge problem in this group. There's no healer. The best we got are my bard regen songs and the necro health transfers. Very, very risky to rely on. So I pull a trick out of the bard playbook. Is there a way to not need healing? Yeah. So I snare the mobs so they can't run fast, and then I hit them with fear. Mobs can't hit us if they're running away. Pain to chase the mob down, everyone has to constantly move. But I can't fear kite when I have to mez, so the pulls were crazy and no healer to save us. I was ripping my hair out, but at the same time it was a lot of fun living on the edge like this. We finally get a healer. A guilty cleric swings by along with Camwise, throws us some buffs, and gets to see the beautiful blue plate he gave me. The pulls are still insane, making me work, man. We got 4 mobs at one time. It was just a struggle to keep charm up and mez all this mess. And guess who joins us later? Rimrock. So we needed a tank. This is the first time ever I group with him. Amazing. You know, teaming up with everybody in this video. But we had a full room repop. He couldn't rip aggro off of me because of how much hate I built with mez. Fortunately, we had a clerics and 96% res, so not a big deal. Except, once I died, there were 3 or so mobs in camp with no means of crowd control. So it quickly overwhelmed them. They had to run, and several of them died in the process. So I get res of the entrance, but the monk in the group, he got aggro on mobs, my bard songs hit him, and then I take a stupid second death while I'm recovering from the first. So that was pretty frustrating. We eventually regroup at the entrance and work our way to a camp called Handroom. The zone is fully popped, so we had to kill everything in the way. But I love dungeon crawls like this. It's a really fun thing to do in the game. It's kind of sad you don't get to do this that much. So as we get to the upper portion of the castle, the pulls get more and more hectic, more mezzing required. This one was a mess. So we finally get to the hand room. We're just right outside it, and I try to split it open with Lol. Of course, it critically resists, you know? 4 mobs coming that are just huge. They all look the same. So I kind of struggle to figure out what's the right one I'm supposed to refresh mez on. So I'm taking a lot of damage here because mezzes are failing a lot, and I'm building a lot of aggro on each. But we eventually get there. We claim our spot in hand room after God knows how long it took to get there. And then soon to be ripped right from our hands. So we just get to camp, and I start screaming in group chat, "Run! Run! Run!" On P99, there's a special quirk to the server that's definitely not classic, but maybe twice a month there will be an earthquake. And that's a sign that all the mobs on the server are going to respawn right now. We got to get the hell out of this room before that happens, or we're gonna die. So I throw Silos and Levitate up, and we just book it for the entrance. Earthquakes just create chaos everywhere. Every raid mob respawns, and it's a mad dash by every single guild to kill as many as possible. The server will go from 1,000 population to 2,000 just like that. When earthquakes happen, all groups are over. It's time to raid. Except for one particular bard. So why is level 51 the goal I wanted to reach? Convenience. Bard speed, levitate, and invis all in one package. I have a lot of running to do. Traveling is going to be a lot safer and more convenient, leaving 1 song up instead of trying to twist 3. Also, at level 51, I'm high enough to easily solo all the necessary grinds that I've been pushing off. I need to get a key. I run to Trakanon's Teeth, this deep jungle zone with wandering high-level Froglock Shaman that see through invis, and I end up killing a Froglock Forager and Hunter, fast-running and beefy mobs. I kill them on the zone walls to avoid Pathers from joining the fight, and once I have a medallion for both of them, I run to a crypt, the burial place of the last ruler of the Ixar Empire, Emperor Ganak. Upon receipt of the 2 medallions, he gives me the key to his capital city of Sebelis, which fell to the dragon Trakanon a long time ago. Sebelis is an N-tier dungeon for Kunark. Not time yet, but I'll go to it eventually. The next order of business was Belius. I made it to the dragon city of Skyshrine, And to access the next zone over, I need to kill this Drake Paladin for a key. Ziglark Whisperwing. So my first attempt didn't go so well. I had to zone. But when I zoned back in, Ziglark was right there at the entrance. I started the work to kill him, and it was really difficult. He had high hit point regen, the ability to heal himself with Paladin, and it could root me. So I mostly ran around in circles while snaring him and dotting him to death. Fortunately, I got help. I helped the cleric out, and he eventually met up with me here in Sky Shrine, threw me out a few heals, and then helped me actually finish off Ziglark. So thank you so much, Bonds. That was really appreciated. People are really helpful in this game. Really can't believe how helpful the next guy would be. So with the key, I got access to the latter half of the Icy Continent. I zoned into Cobalt Scar and picked up a tooth on the ground in this enclosure. To be granted access to port into the various druid/wizard rings on the continent, you're required to grab a ground spawn item from said portal ring. The Cobalt Scar tooth, it's the final one, and it backflags you for all the prior portal spots on the continent. So while I was here, I wanted to pick up an instrument upgrade. So in the Awakening Lands, there are these fawn creatures, which have a better wind instrument than the one I've been using since level 10 or something. Did some charm kiting here and got that flute upgrade. This was the worst camp of them all. I was intent on completing the Lambent Bracers quest. It was a stat upgrade. It was the one Lambent piece that Camwise didn't have. I learned why. So I killed a hill giant North Karana and looted a Lambent stone. I'll later combine that to make the final gemstone needed for the quest easy. But I had to stay in North Karana for griffins. So there's 4 main griffins that can spawn. You have low level ones, high level ones, a beefy one for a ranger armor quest, and then a very specific one I need is the mid-level version called the Griffins with the E's. Every spawn was almost always the low-level version. I only saw maybe 7 to 8 of the type I needed over 3 days of grinding here. The mob itself is a rare spawn, and I need a rare drop coming from a rare spawn, so kind of double the suck, if you will. And to make matters worse, the griffins have multiple spawn points all over. So I had to run circles around the zone over and over just looking for this one specific mob. So I started up a stream to share the misery. Over 12 hours spent in this zone. I just want to leave. Let's go to my live reaction.
Wasn't that great? Oh, another chance, another chance. Here we go, here we go. Third griffin of the stream. Come on. That's it. We got it, guys. We got it. We got it, guys. We can leave this damn zone.
I run to the temple Solasek Row. I hand the gem, Unrest Bracer, and Graphene Charm. Bam. Lambent Bracers, full blue. Next order of business, I need to replace my bags. Shraylock packs, they weigh less, can carry more, and reduce the weight of what's inside, 25%. So I had to fill up my inventory. They drop off a mob called Rekfek Shraylock. I first tried in High Pass. He can only spawn in one spot up here on this perch, but the odds are pretty bad. So there's like 4+ mobs that could be placeholders. So Rekfek is unlikely to spawn. One of the spawns is Vopuk Shraylock. He drops the shiny brass idol, which is coveted by endgame raiders. It's a 1 charge invulnerability clicky. I later sold it for 500 plat in the Common Lands tunnel, along with some bone chips I saved up. Nice money. But I spent something like 4 to 6 hours at the spot, and I never saw a Rekfek once. Mind you, this spawn is on a 5-minute timer, so there were 72 times where he could have spawned, but he didn't. That's how bad it was. So after I finished the Lambent quest on stream, I tried out the High Pass camp again, and I got contacted by a GM. Uh-oh. That's never good. GMs generally only come out when you're in trouble. Here's my reaction.
Oh, I got hit up by a GM. Just wanted to say nice YouTube channel. Oh, thank you. Oh, you just popped out of nowhere. Not every day you see GMs.
Fortunately, it went good, and I'd see them again soon. The next day was the craziest luck I've ever had. So I tried the other spot in Kithakor, It's down near the lake. This zone is dangerous because high-level undead spawn in at night, but this specific area of the zone is safe regardless. The undead don't come around here. Every 7 minutes at this one spot, a spider or Rekfek will spawn. That's it. I was able to replace all my bags in short of 2 hours. I think Rekfek has a better chance to spawn here just because there's only one other placeholder, unlike in High Pass. So I had maybe like 8 to 9 spider spawns next to 6 Rekfek spawns. It was that common. It was weird to go from no bags at all, like spending half a day here, to then getting all of them in 2 hours. Now for the second worst camp after Graphines. Ocean of Tears. So I got to this one island at the same time as 2 other people, and it was kind of awkward. Usually there's a list who gets to go first. It was kind of hard to decide what. So the druid struck first, he attacked first, and then the next spawn, his luck was incredible. One placeholder, 6 minutes later, it popped. The Ancient Cyclops. He drops a ring I'll need for an important piece of gear. So the druid was able to leave in like 10 minutes after entering the zone. I, on the other hand, would not be so lucky. So the thing about this camp is you have to form a line. You gotta wait your turn. So since 3 of us got here at the same time, it's kind of hard to say who had first dibs. So the druid attacked first, so he could say he claimed spot number 1, but then who's gonna be next up? Is it gonna be Kalmik or myself? Kalmik, I hope you're watching. You did me one of the biggest favors ever, man. Thank you so much. He took the initiative to make the line. He had full rights to say he was next up for the drop. Kalmik chose to put me first in line. No discussion. And that was really kind of him because he did not know what he was getting into with that decision. The biggest thing he did, there's a few placeholders on this camp, and the most common one is a regular Cyclops, and they're just so beefy. Kalmik was a mage. He brought his DPS to help me kill these Cyclops in like 1 to 2 minutes. So what? If I had to kill them by myself, it would have taken 5 times as long. It would have really dragged out the camp. So Kalmik helping me out was huge. And Kalmik didn't just do this once, he didn't do it twice. 5 hours straight. Kalmik helped me kill the placeholder that spawned every 6 minutes for 5 hours straight. I cannot stress how much of a pain in the it had to be for him to do that. And that was one of the kindest things I've ever experienced playing EverQuest for over a decade. So thank you so much, man. I hope you're watching to hear this. I got kind of bored at the camp and I hit up someone I wasn't supposed to. Vorde, the GM, I asked them to illusion me to troll people, you know, trying to camp a Cyclops, so made me a giant Cyclops. Anybody running by would think the name had spawned. But I think Forte knew they couldn't leave me as a Cyclops, so she turned me and Kalmik into Froglocks. It's still pretty cool. It was pretty funny. And I was able to do something really silly at this camp. So I ran out into the water, the ocean, charmed a beast and brought it onto shore. Land shark. Yeah, land shark. So I don't think it can attack you while it's on land. So I tried to slowly slim back into the water when it's free. It looks so ridiculous on land. 5 hours later, the Ancient Cyclops finally spawned for me. I got the Ring of the Ancients. Part 1 of the quest. I stayed a bit longer because I felt like I owed Kalmik that at least, but he didn't get any spawn within the next hour or so. I felt bad. Next part of the quest, I needed to kill Shadowed Men. So I saw this guy taking them out in the Common Lands. I tried killing Shadow Men in Nectalos Forest and Lava Storm Mountains. No luck in Nectalos, but I got the item's second respawn in Lava Storm, the Shadowed Rapier. And with that, then I headed down to the Wraith Mountains. But when I got there, couldn't have everything go my way that day, so Brother Zephyl was up. He's this monk epic quest guy. He's on the same spawn table for the guy I need. but he's basically unkillable outside of a raid force, and he won't despawn for 4 hours. That was basically the rest of the night, so I just had to log off. But the problem is that the Shadowed Rapier, it will disappear from my inventory when I do log off. So all that work I did trying to kill the Shadow Men is just for nothing. So I kind of had to cheese the mechanics of the game. So if you leave a no-rent item on a corpse, it won't vanish when you log off. So I had a wizard kill me, and then a cleric nearby res me back. I had a bit of time left, so I was going to try it for the second to last item I needed. I ran to the Lake Il Omen and kept killing placeholders that spawned every 30 seconds or so. Eventually the named I wanted spawned, the Sarnak Courier. Didn't drop it the first try. Not that long later, it spawned again, and I couldn't believe what happened. I got the Goblin Gazugi Ring, a very, very, very valuable clicky item, and I got so lucky here. I got this after 90 minutes of trying. I've done this camp God knows how many times in the past. At one time, it took me 30 hours before I got this item. It frequently takes people a week to get this ring, and I just got it in 90 minutes. This camp has the potential to be the worst camp out of every single one of them I just did, and I got it after 90 minutes. I needed to hit the slot machine. So I have a video on how to get this item on P99 and on live. The mechanics are different, but all in one day. I got full Straylock packs, 99% of the way to a special item, and the Goblin Gazugi ring. Guys, I've never had luck in EQ like this. This is incredible. I logged on a few days later. I picked up that Shadowed Rapier for my corpse, ran back to Wraith Mountains, and by luck would have it, Zephyr wasn't up, Haston Bootstrutter was. The exact gnome I need. So he offers a quest for one of the most valuable clickies in game. So if you hand him 325 plat worth of gold, the Shadowed Rapier, and the Ring of the Ancients, he will give you an item called the Journeyman's Boots, J-Boots. Instant cast, run speed buff, usable by all classes. In a game, mind you, that takes forever to get from point A to point B, this is huge for the majority of classes which don't have a run speed buff at all. Now, as a bard, it's not as important, but this is a second line of defense for when Silos drops, and it's somewhat necessary for raids, but I won't get into that. So this was it. I finished all the grinds with that final turn in. It's time to play. But there's still one item missing, and I need a group for it. I got a group again in Karnor's Castle and left Courtyard. They were kicking butt. It was mezzing, charming, pumping mana, and boy, I was glad to do that instead of farming some damn spawn. Names were popping like crazy. So that Goblin Gazugi ring I got, what's it for? Invisibility versus animals. The buff itself is completely worthless. There's never a point at all in the game where you need invisibility against animals, but it's probably the most important tool in a bard and enchanter's arsenal. The type of invisibility doesn't matter at all. What matters is for bards and enchanters, I think it might be the only instant cast invisibility item in the game for them. Any form of invisibility will instantly break charm, and there's times in groups where you don't want to wait the full 18 seconds for Bard Charm to wear off, you want to break it immediately. But it's even more important for charm kiting. If a mob dies before you break charm, you lost all that experience. At the same time, if you break the charm too early, that'll take longer to finish the mob off. So the sweet spot to break a charm is below 10%, but the only way to reliably break charm is using an instant cast item like the Goblin Gazugi ring. That's why it's so important. But back with the group, the druid turned us all to wolf form. I was a doggy. We got a bunch more named. There was one item I chose to group in Karnors for, and it dropped. There's a guildie who was soloing at the entrance, and the Singing Steel boots dropped for him. I offered him 600 plat, it's sold. Clicky Levitation, that's for group wide, and it lasts for about 5 minutes. So I finally got a clicky run speed buff, and now clicky Levitation. What more could you ask? So the video is going to end here. Thank you to my audience for watching, and thank you so much to the special people who helped me in this episode. See you in the next one.